Great, great, great. We've got a rich audience today. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're going to have a great time today. Okay, I think we can kick off now so that we don't keep, we've had people in the chat room since 10:30. So I'm going to kick off now and we'll start the program. So thank you so much for joining. We are so grateful. Thank you for joining from all over the world. We have people from almost every continent in this chat room today on this webinar. And so my name is Omowunmi Olarinre, and I head the Business Support Unit at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, LSETF. And you know, we're here today to really inspire you. And we want it to be an interactive session. And we, more than anything else, most importantly, we want it to be transformational to your business. We want you to go away today and say, yes, I've gained something that I can implement to my business that will make that business different. What do we want to achieve? Everybody starts a business with the hope of it lasting the test of time, standing the test of time. And so we're here to give you some nuggets from our industry experts that are our speakers and lecturers today. And we hope that you can apply this to your businesses. And so at LSETF, in a nutshell, what do we do? LSETF is an agency of the Lagos State government. And we were set up in 2016 to really tackle the youth unemployment rate. And we also have a core mandate of job creation. And really, predominantly, LSETF rests on three predominant pillars, amongst others. One is access to affordable finance, which I think a lot of people in the past have known LSETF for, but we are quickly trying to change that narrative. The next pillar is access to markets, which really is typically getting your goods, products, or services from A to Z, which means from your warehouse or your production facility to the end user. And then the third one is capacity building. So what this webinar, Building a Sustainable Business, actually sits under the capacity building pillar, because what is it we're trying to do? We've realized over the past 5 years that we've been in existence that it's not always about the finance. It's not always about the funding. You can inject this funding into your business and the business still doesn't succeed as you would want it to. So we're here today to ensure that, you know, your business is upskilled at the end of this webinar. We're here today to ensure that you take home some, nuggets, ideas, and, implement them into your business to make it succeed. I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to pass you over now to the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, Tejumola Abisoye, who will do a brief introduction, opening remarks, and will introduce our guest speaker / lecturer. Thank you so much for joining. Over to you, Teju. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Omowunmi, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining this webinar today. We think this is a really good opportunity in all the, for Lagos State residents. For us at LSETF, what is our core deliverable? We recognize very quickly, like Omowunmi had just said earlier, that we're here to address youth unemployment in Lagos State. And we recognize that over 86% of the jobs are created by MSMEs. By this, we mean that over 86% of people working in the entire economy work for micro, small, and medium enterprises rather than large corporations. So at the LSETF, our strategic objective is to support small businesses like yours to make sure that you can increase productivity and hereby employ more people. If you can change your numbers, if you see that you now have more market access for your products, you now have expectations that you cannot meet, you then need more hands to be able to meet the numbers you need to deliver into the market. So this webinar today, we're looking at House of Tara as a strategic partner, because with over 20 years experience in this sector, starting from her one-man business and building a credible household name in the business industry, what are the things she can share with businesses in Lagos State or across the country? As I can see that we now have people from Abuja, Ibadan on the webinar. What are those strategic deliverables that if each business actually applies in their own context, we're able to build businesses that get more structured, provide increased productivity, and can employ more people. So I am actually privileged today. I'm really, really excited to be able to introduce to you today the brand herself. Tara Fela-Durotoye is a beauty entrepreneur who pioneered the professional makeup industry in Nigeria in the late 90s. She's the founder and current CEO of House of Tara International. She's considered a major force in Nigerian female entrepreneurship community and has created an impact business that has empowered tens of thousands of beauty entrepreneurs through the Tara Beauty Entrepreneur Initiative. I know so many makeup artists that have gone through House of Tara that have set up their own platform, existing business that are now done post 5-year mark. It tells you about the quality of what they do at House of Tara. As a game changer, Tara has served as a powerful role model for women in business and worked as an advocate for creating awareness of the importance of building business that positively impacts society. She's a huge impact of impact entrepreneurship and is considered the poster girl for female entrepreneurship in West Africa. Under her leadership, House of Tara has emerged one of Joburman's best 100 companies to work in Nigeria in 2017 and continues to be considered the #1 indigenous makeup brand for Nigerian women. She has received several national and international awards for her contribution to an active role in entrepreneurship and empowerment. She was listed in 2013 as one of the 20 young power women in Africa, and more recently in 2020, listed as the top 50 most powerful women alongside the president of Ethiopia, Swale Work, chairman of First Bank, Mrs. Ibukun Awosika, along with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, former First Bank chairman, with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Chimamanda Adichie, and Lupito Nyong. She's an Obi Ezekwesili. So today we recognize what we have with us. She's also an Advent learner. I see Tara has gone through various programs at INSEAD, Lagos Business School, at Harvard, at Stanford, at Harvard Kennedy School as well. She's also a member of the France-Nigeria Investment Club, which was incorporated in 2018 by the French President Emmanuel Macron. She serves on several boards, including and not limited to So Fresh, a brand that LSETF is proud to associate with, African Women Entrepreneurship Corporation, AWEC in New York. She's also an associate member of Women in Business, in Management and Business and Public Service. She has been recognized by the World Economic Forum as a young global leader, the Chessel Institute of France Top 100 Young African Business Leaders Under 40. This was in 2014. Tara enjoys gardening, loves experiencing new culture, meeting new people. I agree to that 100%. She's happily married to Fela-Durotoye and she's blessed with 3 wonderful boys. Please welcome electronically with claps, with shouting, with stand-up, the brand herself, CEO House of Tara, Tara Fela-Durotoye.
Thank you, Teju, and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Omowunmi. Thank you, LSTF. Oh, wonderful. It's lovely to see all of you on here. Those of you from outside Nigeria, Dubai, Canada, this is so exciting. I'm very happy to see Lagos entrepreneurs here because I started my business in Lagos. I have grown in business in Lagos. I've been in business for almost 23 years, started with 15,000 Naira query. 15,000 Naira query. So what you're hearing is somebody who started very small. So if you started your business with 1 million Naira, you're a big girl, bigger than me. If you started your business with 2 million Naira, you're a big man. If you started your business with 500,000, you're even a bigger man, right? But I started with 15,000 Naira. And to think that from 15,000 Naira, I've been able to grow this business beyond just the makeup part, where you guys knew me as a bridal makeup artist. starting with that 15,000 naira, showing up every Saturday to do brides makeup, but then reinvesting that money into the business and scaling the business, expanding the business. And how did I do it? From bridal makeup, every Saturday showing up for a bride, doing their faces, but then seeing other opportunities that I could expand into. And one of the ways that I expanded was to start a makeup school. And I started to train people who have today become makeup artists. Teju had also said that earlier on. And what was that? You know, training makeup artists to start and today, many of the makeup artists you see in Nigeria as makeup artists, and even outside the country, were people who are trained at the House of Tara Makeup School. Today, we have 19 centers across Nigeria. Remember, from 15,000 naira, 19 centers across Nigeria, training makeup artists in Kano, in Kaduna, in Ilorin, in Port Harcourt, in Enugu, in Asaba, in Lagos, Amuwo, Dofin, Lekki, Ikeja, in Ibadan. And why am I saying this in Warri? Why am I saying this in Benin? I'm saying this to let you know that I want you to walk away from today knowing that it is possible. And that's why I started by letting you know how I started. And from starting makeup school, my students also now wanted makeup brushes. They wanted makeup brushes to be able to practice what they were learning. Unfortunately, this was 20 years ago, Nigeria. Today we have, when you go to the market, you see makeup brushes, but then there were no makeup brushes. There were no products. You know, you had to go to the market and buy fashion fair. Today it will be there, tomorrow it will not be there. If the trader brings it in, that's fine. If the trader does not bring it in, that's the end. But as what I recognized was, in interacting with my customers, I saw what their needs were. And my customers' needs at that time were the makeup artists. And the makeup artists were saying, we need makeup brushes. And that's how I went ahead to develop my own brand of makeup brushes. So when I started to create product in my product line, I started with makeup brushes. Someone says they can't hear anything. Is everyone okay? Can everybody hear? Maybe it's your internet. Okay, I can go ahead. And so I started with makeup brushes. And with makeup brushes, my makeup artists now started having their tools. They started to ask me as they were asking me for the makeup brushes, as they went out to serve their customers asked them, where can I get this makeup brush from? And soon enough, people started coming to House of Tara wanting to buy our makeup brushes. After a while, I had one store in VI near law school. My first makeup studio was in VI, small boys' quarters that I converted into what I called a makeup studio at the time, because I couldn't call it a shop because it wasn't really a shop, because there were no products. It was just a place where my customers could come and meet the makeup artist. Unfortunately, on days where I have to go and do a bridal job, you know what I'll do? I'll lock the shop and go. When customers come, they would say, where is the makeup artist? Oh, she has gone to do a job. She's not here. And soon enough, I realized I needed a staff. So I employed one lady who was there opening. And this is what LSTF is saying. LSTF is saying, we want you to build your businesses so that you can employ people. Because not everybody can work for the bank. Not everybody can work for Lagos State. Not everybody can work for the oil and gas industry. But a lot of small businesses are building businesses just for lifestyle, what they call lifestyle businesses, to just pay their bills and move day by day. But how do we, yes, I know things are costly, but we're getting there. And soon enough, as we move ahead, you can then begin to employ people. The reason why I have come as an authority is because I have done it in Lagos. I'm not saying it's easy. It's been very, very tough. I'm going to share some of my milestones. Some of the milestones are milestones that were encouraging, supporting, but there were other milestones that were discouraging. But regardless of what my experience was, I still pushed on. From opening my first makeup studio and then selling makeup brushes, on the launch of the makeup brushes to the market, people came and said, oh, they were expecting to see makeup products. Remember, my makeup artists wanted new products as well. My makeup artists wanted products as well. Someone said they can't hear me. Are we okay? Can we, from a show of hands, how many people can hear me? Okay, someone says very energetic. Okay, great. That's the idea. I want it to be energetic, right? And from opening the day of the launch of my makeup brushes, People said to me, well, they wanted makeup products. They expected that I would have powders and foundations. That is why it's important to hear what your customers are saying. And what they were saying to me was they wanted my product just beyond the brushes. And the minute they said that to me, an idea popped into my head as a new opportunity. And from my one first makeup studio, I now went into production of makeup products. But I only had one store, and I went to produce makeup products. And how will I sell? How will I distribute? LSTF was talking about route to market, right? Opportunity for market. At the end of the day, if you have the goods and you don't have a way to distribute it, it becomes a problem. So I began to think about how am I going to distribute this product? Brilliant idea. I was having a conversation with an older entrepreneur who said to me, why don't you go to Unilag? And so I went into Unilag and started to train people with my product. At the time, the product had not even landed, right? And I got people to pay in advance. And why? Because I was already a brand. I was consistent. People already knew of me. So they could trust that if they drop their money, it's not running away, right? And that's how brands are built. Okay, so as from there, I now launched the product line. I had the young ladies in the University of Lagos who were selling the product. From Lagos State, from University of Lagos, we started having people coming from IFE, people coming from ABU, buying and then reselling. And that's how our brand started to expand across Nigeria, one day at a time. But as we did that, we also started to expand in terms of our retail outlets, opening new stores. Remember, I said to you that I was very frugal in reinvesting the money back into the business. There was a season where I wasn't paying myself a salary. I was eating from within the business, but I was very disciplined about banking every sale. All my transactions went to the bank. That was one of the disciplines that I had. I remember people saying to me, you're a miser. Right? But I also remember that, listen, people will say these things to you because you are being disciplined. But listen, if you don't take care of your business today, your business will not be able to take care of you tomorrow. Somebody asked me, if your husband dies, will your children be able to go to the same schools that they're going to today? And I didn't have an answer. I couldn't answer that question because my children at the time were going to an international school. And the minute the guy asked me, basically he was saying, if you're investing so much time, I hope this business will be able to pay your bills. And so I took my business very, very seriously. In 2005, I sat down and calculated how much revenue I had made in the year. And how did I do it? I had an Apex Mills notebook, a simple notebook, where I wrote every money that every bride paid me. Every single, not my expenses, only my sales. And I know that was not great because it meant that I did not know how profitable my business was. But one thing I knew was I knew how much I was generating. By the time I finished calculating everything for that year, it was 9-point-something million in 2005. I said 9 million naira went through my hands. I couldn't believe it. I was saying, where did the money go to? Because 9 million was a lot of money for me. For me, almost 10 million naira. I called my mom and I said, do you believe that almost 10 million naira went? She said, it's not possible. So you know what I did? I said, maybe I did the calculations wrongly. I gave my sister the Apex Mill notebook and told her to start calculating. My sister calculated and found that the number was accurate. I still didn't believe. So I went to the bank. Remember I said I had a culture of always depositing all my money in the bank. So I went to the bank and I asked them to give me a bank statement to let me know how much I had paid into the bank between that time and then. And what I realized was it was over almost 10 million naira that was recorded in the bank as money that I had paid into the bank. That moment, I realized that this was a serious business and I needed to take it even more seriously. From then, I started recording my expenses so that I could know how well I was doing. It was not enough to have the revenue coming in, but also how profitable can I be and one of the ladies one of the facilitators here, Jovita, is going to emphasize that for you, teaching us about profitability and how do we make sure that we have all our books, our numbers recorded in a way that I'm paying ourselves a salary so that at the end of the day, we are not just running a business, just wasting time, but actually running a profitable business. And from then on, we started to expand across Nigeria. A few years after, Stanford wrote a case study about House of Tara. Our case study was now being written, sold on the Harvard website. L'Oreal, the biggest beauty company in the world, came to Nigeria and asked us to distribute their own product, Maybelline, across across Nigeria. I'm sharing this to let you know that I started from humble beginnings. When you hear 50 most powerful women in Africa, it didn't happen overnight. It started one day at a time with 15,000 naira in the business. So I want you to have faith that it is possible to start small, to grow fast, and to become big. It is possible, because this is a testament of that reality. That is the House of Tara story. So let me go into my teaching. I hope that was useful. I hope you found that useful. Please let me know in the chat room if you found it useful. As I'm going to speak, now I want you to take your notes and write the things that, as you listen, there are things that you want to change, you want to start doing, things you're going to stop doing, and things you're going to continue doing. As I share the story, you will hear moments where you will hear to yourself, I need to start doing this. Oh, I need to stop doing this. Oh, this is great. This is what Tara was doing. Okay, I'm doing it. I must continue doing so. So I want you to make sure you write this down. The reason why is so that you can walk away from here and have actionable plan as to what you are going to do next. All right. Now, why did I get so fascinated with building this issue of sustainable business? When I was in my early preteens, I was very interested in colors. I was very interested in brands. When I see a business logo, I would look at it and never forget. And so every time we're in the car going somewhere, I paid attention to the roads. When I was a child, in preteen days, on the Oshodi Express Road, there were many, many big companies. Many big companies, and I would look as we were driving past, paying attention to every single logo. There were brands like Tandy Guarana on that express road. Tandy Guarana, for those of you who were preteens in the 80s, you remember the advertisement, Tandy Guarana, right? You may not know it if you're younger than us, right? But Tandy Guarana was it was like Coke. It was a soft drink that was a company that was in Nigeria, probably owned by Nigerians. And it was a soft drink that was in my house. We loved it. So the truck will come and drop the crate and we'll keep in the house. When we had parties, we drank Tandy Guarana. One day, I'm older and I don't even see Tandy Guarana anymore. And the question was, whatever happened to Tandy Guarana? How many of you remember Okin Biscuit, right? I remember my childhood friend, TY, we all lived in the same area. And from time to time, when she comes to visit me, we will walk back home. But every time we're walking back home, we'll stop at the Malam and buy Okin Biscuits, right? I like the round ones. TY liked the short cake one. And so we will sometimes just stand and be picking on our Okin Biscuit and having long conversations. At the end of our time, we always remember the memories of Okin Biscuit. Today, Okin Biscuit is a family-owned company in Offa, I think. They had huge factories. I hear that the entire town was almost funded by that industry at that time, right? Today, that business does not exist. Concorde Airlines was another one I remember. Okada Airlines was another one I remember. Bata, even in my village, there was Bata. My grandfather's house across the road was a Bata store. And at the beginning of the term, my mom would take us to Bata to go and buy Cortina shoes, right? Those were franchises probably owned by Nigerians, but those businesses do not exist today. And for me, I was very saddened by it. And when I started my own business, I began to ask myself, will my business be one of the Okin Biscuits? Will it be one of the Tandy Guaranas? Will it be one of the Okada Airline or the Concord newspaper? And I asked myself, what do I need to do? And Teju talked about how I'm a learner, I'm interested in learning. And I constantly wanted to know. And guess what? These were the experiences I had. In 1957, the news, Time magazine did an article called the man-made billionaires of Nigeria, something into that effect. I wish I had the picture to share. And so it's online, so you can research it and find it. And what did they do? They had a feature of Nigerian millionaires at that time, the likes of Odutola, two brothers who own massive rubber plantations in the Ijebu-Ode area. There was a Braithwaite who owned an insurance company. They referenced Dan Tata, who was also Nigerian, and the list goes on and on. And when I read their names, many of them I didn't recognize, because even though they were referenced in 1957 in Time magazine, in 2000, those businesses didn't exist. As an adult, I didn't know them. I didn't know their brands. And so the question for me is, how am I going to build House of Tara in such a way that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, 60 years from now, 70 years from now, House of Tara will still be here, providing jobs, giving my children a legacy, giving my children some shares, some money, because it's important to fund your families when you have built a business, that in my old age, House of Tara can be my retirement plan. They can say, oh, this is our founder. This is what we give you every year because you founded this company. Yes, you no longer run it and you are old, but this is the benefit of investing your youthfulness in building this business. So I say to people, I am not willing to waste my youthfulness. The days that I put, the time I've invested in House of Tara must not die. I've had moments where it seemed like things were not working. I don't know how many of you remember when the Tara products got counterfeited. I tell a story. I went to China. And when I went to China, I went to an open market. And I went to cosmetics section, just interested and walking around and looking around. And the lady, a Chinese lady, recognized my accent, probably thought I was from Nigeria or assumed I was from Nigeria. And what did she say to me? She said, do you sell makeup or do you want cosmetics? And I said, yes. She said, okay, let me show you a very, very good product. And I went in with her. And guess what the product she showed me? It was a Tara product she showed me. And she saw the look on my face. So she thought, oh, maybe I was just being resistant. And she started to convince me about how great a product is and showed me receipts of Tara products that I've been taking to Congo and other African countries where even I wasn't present. I was shattered by it. We lost money. Our income as a business dropped by 50% simply because counterfeiters started bringing our products in almost the same packaging at less the price. My heart was shattered. I felt that my business was coming to an end because we lost so much money. After a while, you're walking on the street to see a malam carrying Tara products. You know that the malam could not have. When you ask him how much, you say 300 naira. Chai! My sweats. Think about 2020. When there was a lockdown, every time you had a store, if you have 20 stores, we had 25 stores. Listen, landlords are not going to say because there was COVID, we will not pay the rents, right? So our stores were shut down, but investments were already made. Capital investments were made. The doors were shut. It meant that customers were not coming on a day-to-day basis. Every time those doors were shut, we were not generating money. But here it was, as the doors were shut, and we still had employees, you realize that money was going, right? 2020, you think about it again, there was the EndSARS in October, and our store in Surrey got vandalized. And we were hit back to back. And you say to yourself, how is it that as an entrepreneur, you are still sitting here trying to teach about sustainability? Listen, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to have a dogged spirit, a determination not to fall and stay flat on your face. To fall on your face, but get up and continue. Get up and continue. And that's what we do as entrepreneurs. Dangote didn't get to where he is by falling and then keeping his face down. No, he stood up time and time again. There are so many examples of entrepreneurs who have had moments where government put a policy in place that shut their businesses. There were people who had businesses and started well, and things happened, and their business will have shut down, but they stepped up and continued. I think about 30 years of Chess Center, a business that's owned by a female entrepreneur. So in 2019, they celebrated 30 years of that business. Now we are 32 years. I think about IBTC, started founded by a young Nigerian. He was 30 years old at Edo Peterside. And he started that bank, walked away from that bank, retired from that bank. Today, that bank still stands. And many people don't know that he was the one who founded that bank, right? And that is his legacy. I want us to start business and grow them 30 years and look back and say, this is what I have done, and I have the evidence because the fruits are showing. And that's what I'm passionate about. For me, it's a journey. It's a never-ending journey. We are assessing, we are reassessing. But one of the things that we've done is I've sat down and thought to myself, how can I craft what I consider the things that make House of Tara, that will make House of Tara sustainable? And there are 5 P's. 5 P's, I want you to think about that. 5 P's. 1 is purpose. 2 is products. 3 is people. First is what? I want you to type it in the chat room so I can see that you have it on. The first is purpose. The second is product. The third is process. The third is process. The fourth is people. And the fifth is profits. Purpose, products, process, people, and profits. And profits. And profits, not revenue, not turnover. Profit. Many years I did my business, at the end of the year would generate millions, and all the millions is gone because we're not running a profitable business. The beautiful, amiable, relatable facilitator, Jovita, is going to come on after me to drive home that conversation about profit and how we as entrepreneurs can learn little disciplines that can help us track our profit and not get carried away with turnover. I know sometimes when I call some of the stores in House of Tara and I say, oh, how much do you guys generate? And they say, we made. And I say, no, you didn't make. You didn't make, you generated, because that money that you generated does not include, we have not considered your salary, hasn't considered the rent that we paid, the power that we paid, the utility bills that we paid for that location. The products in that store have capital price on the capital of it apart from the profit. So don't say we made, we generated. And she's here to help us tune our minds, right? And for those of us who are more advanced, that have gotten beyond the level of income statements, for those of us who don't know about income statements, she's going to show us how to be able to put our P&L together to see what it looks like, and so that our businesses can be able to be profitable. So the first thing is about purpose. Listen, the great thing about purpose is that we are all born with it. It's like how you are born into a family. You can't change it. It has nothing to do with you. Purpose is the same. Purpose is your essence, the essence of who you are. Your purpose can be for you, it can be to you, it is a part of who you are, it's part of your DNA, it's almost like your DNA. The thing is, a lot of times we're not patient enough to look because we're so distracted with the outside, distracted with what is being said around. But if we look on the inside of us, our purpose is also our compass. I need us to be patient enough, right, to check on what our purpose is. Why? Because our purpose is what gives us a sense of fulfillment. Have you not heard of people who have made money and still don't feel fulfilled? Have you not heard of people who become rich and not feel fulfilled? Many times they've just gone and created a business. They've done something that's just about paying their bills, sometimes about, yes, making them rich, and they're rich, but they don't feel fulfilled. I don't want to. The reason why I think my business will be sustainable is because I have tied my purpose to the business that I am running. In that way, when things are bad in terms from financial, so when you think about 2020, for example, it was the worst year of the history of me running a business in over 20 years. It was the worst, right, I had ever experienced. It never happened before. But guess what? Because it's a purpose-driven business, it is not just about making money. It's the reason why I didn't quit, and it's the reason why I didn't close shop. So I want you to think about your purpose. What is that thing? What is your why? Why are you in this business? Is it giving you, don't think about money, it's not about money. It's first of all about a sense of fulfillment, that I am doing something impactful. Your purpose can be a statement. You can have a purpose statement, or you can have a purpose word. So for me, my purpose is empowerment. Yes, I'm here now. I'm not selling makeup, but what am I doing? I am still empowering. So House of Tara is training makeup artists. That is empowerment, right? Every time we serve our customers, because our customers, makeup makes us feel good. We like the good feeling we get. What's the word? Good feeling that we get, right? Or feel good, right? The feel good factor that we get from having our makeup done. We know that is what makes women feel umph. And so when they walk into a House of Tara store, the way we greet is part of how we ensure that what the customers desire is what they get. You walk into a House of Tara, and the first thing you hear is, welcome to the House of Tara. You have to say, welcome to the House of Tara. And you have to have a smile on your face, because we know there is a feel-good factor that a woman is looking for when they walk into a makeup store. And for us, as we're serving our customers, we are also empowering our customers to feel happier. So whatever we do, in whatever platforms we find ourselves, whether it's through our beauty rep entrepreneurship model, where we go into campuses and train young women to become makeup artists, or to start a micro business selling Tara products, or we empower our employees, train them with knowledge so that they can serve properly. Listen, we are empowering, and that runs through. So I want you to spend today asking yourself, what is my purpose? And is my purpose tied to my business, the business that I'm currently doing? So think about it this way. This is my own model, and that model is what I'm applying on a day-to-day basis. It's tied to my mission, because it's a way of what I'm expressing on a day-to-day basis, but it also creates a picture of the future, which then becomes my vision. And what's the House of Tara vision? To become a globally respected beauty company of African origin. To become a globally respected beauty company of African origin. Ensure that your purpose is also tied to your vision. So what is your why? I am doing it. I am here today because I want to empower. That is my why. I am serving makeup artists because I want to empower. That is my why. I am serving my customers on all the stores in Abuja, in Lagos, because I'm empowering them, teaching them on how to apply their makeup, serving them with professional makeup artists. Doing that is empowerment. That is my why. So what is your why? Ensure that your purpose is tied to your business. This next thing I want to talk about is product, whether they're services or they're tangible goods. So I would say products, let's divide products into tangible goods and intangible goods. So tangible goods and intangible goods. Tangible goods are those things that, you can feel, touch, like our lipsticks, our powders, our skincare products, our sunscreen. Those are the tangible. They are products, right? They are goods. They're tangible goods. And then we have the intangible goods, like our services. After I've applied your makeup for you and you go, you have to wash it off, right? You don't take me along with you. What I've done is I have served you. And so how do we, in creating whether our intangible goods or our tangible goods, we have to ask ourselves, what is the need of our customer? What is the need of our customer? And so for me to remain a sustainable business, I have to, first of all, walk through my purpose. But secondly, I have to create products that satisfies my customers. Products not for my own use, but products that my customers want. Products that create value for my customer. Products that create value for my customer. If I am not asking questions for my customers, hearing their feedback and then fine-tuning, then I am in business for myself. There is no business when there is no product. There is no business when there is no, I can't see you guys in the chat room. Are you here with me? Can you hear me? There is no business when there is no product. Whether they're tangible goods or intangible goods, without those goods, there is no business. And guess what? If your product is not bringing value to your customers, then it's not a product. If your product is not bringing value to your customers, it is not a product. So your product is what you do for your customer. The question is, what do you do for your customer? And as you're creating the product, what is the customer's need that you are satisfying? If I want my business to be sustainable, I must ensure that my customers' needs are being met. If, for example, to give an example, during COVID, my customers were no longer wearing makeup. They were no longer wearing makeup. They were not going to parties. They were not going to offices, right? They were on Zoom, and many times they were not even showing because they haven't gotten their chairs yet, their tables yet, and the likes. But what did I do? We sat down and had a conversation with our retailers. And from our Zoom conversation, it was just checking up on them, caring about them. And then they told us what customers want now is now they're seeing their skin because they're at home and they're realizing, Chai, my color is like 5 and 6. There's day and night. Kini, what is going on here? Because guess what? Before they were rushing to the office by 6 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, they've already put on their powder. They've gone. They don't even know what their skin looks like, right? On Saturdays, they have a makeup artist come and do their makeup, and they have left. And yet again, at the end of the day, they wash up and they go to bed. Now they were stuck at home, seeing their face in the mirror day to day. And they're like, what? I need to take care of my skin. And so what were the customers asking me for? They were asking for skincare products. And that's how we responded with our own skincare line. Because really, products are about value. It's about value to the customer. And if it's not bringing value to the customer, then my business cannot be sustainable. So the entire work of identifying what my customer needs becomes most important to a sustainable business. So ladies and gentlemen, think about value, 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 value. My dear brother, the next facilitator after Jovita will be our brother Charles Anyanwu from LSETF, and he will be teaching the business model canvas. One of the most transformational seasons in my business life was when I got nominated to a Stanford Seed program, and I'm sure that in my bio that was referenced. The program was a 6-month program that was financed and funded by 2 MBA students from 1978 class, where they were teaching, they identified what they called high growth rate businesses in Africa and brought us together over a period of 6 months to train us on how to scale our businesses. And one of the things that was taught in that class was the business model canvas. It was very transformational because it helped me to understand my business better and identify the value that my customers were seeking, because it forced me to think. Charles will come after to talk about the business model canvas and how important it is for every business to sit down and draw out their own peculiar business model. And he will give us things like value proposition, customer segmentation. Please, that exercise, it's important that everyone participates in it. When you it's eye-opening, and you begin to see your business in a different light. So value is what you have to think about when you think about products. The next thing I want to talk about is also process. Process is the way in which we create and deliver that product to our customer. It's the way. So every time we have to think to ourselves, what is the way that I'm creating a value? So let's use the example of House of Tara, for example. We know that our customers are women who are fashion forward, right? They like to look beautiful. They like the feel good, the good feel. Someone help me. The feel good feeling that they get, right? We know that is what they want. The question for us is, how do we deliver our product? That is the process. How we deliver that to the customer in a way that the customer is happy and comes back again. The process is how we deliver on it consistently, feel good feeling. So because we know the feel good feeling, we ensure that our process delivers on that. And I'll go back to our retail stores, walking into a store and being smiled at by a professional makeup artist. You feel good because you know you're now being attended to by a professional. You could have gone to Balogun Market to go and buy your lipstick. You could have gone to Tejumola Market to go and buy your powder. But you chose to come to House of Tara because you realize that the people who are there understand your language. They are professional, they're educated, they're not just salespeople. That is the process of delivering our product. And our products could be tangible goods or intangible, like we said earlier on. It could be a customer who's going to a party and wants to have their makeup done. And when they come into a House of Tara store, we have to think about when the customer walks in, what is their experience? And we have to draft that, create a flow to say, this is step one. The customer walks into a store. When they walk into a store, they see a makeup artist in the store. What does the makeup artist do? She must smile. She must say, welcome to House of Tara. How can I be of service today? How can I help you today? What can I help you with today? She must smile. Remember, we're trying to deliver a product. But we have to think about the step by step. When the makeup artist smiles and then says, welcome to the house of Tara, because she's been trained to be able to do so, the customer responds and says, oh, thank you. I would like to try a new foundation. And the lady says, okay, please sit here while I attend to you. And she shows her what she has to do. She sanitizes her hand, sanitizes the chair, covers the table with the cloth, lays out the product, shows the customer, oh, I'm going to try you. I see that you have oily skin. I'm going to try you the Tara Dual Foundation that is for oily skin. I'm going to try you this. I'm going to try you that. By the time she does that, remember, she has been trained, and she was trained based on the process. You may not have staff. You may be the only one in your shop, right? If you are, what is the process of delivering that product to the customer? Think about it, meaning think that if you are the customer and you walked into your own store from the get-go, think about what the customer does as they walk into your store, and then create something that says, these are the steps. For those of you that cook, this process is about how you cook. For example, when you want to make stew, for some of us who are taught, you put your groundnut oil in, right? You put the pot on the fire, you put the groundnut oil too, you cut the onions and you pour the onions in the, and they say, when you put the onions in the oil and it does shh, you know automatically that it's time to pour the pepper and the pepper into it. By doing that, you know the process. Your business needs processes, and you need to identify what those processes are. So for us at House of Tara, we need to keep thinking about our customer, our process, to ensure that, yes, we are creating products that bring value. First of all, we are purpose-driven. We're thinking about purpose. Our purpose is about empowerment. And we're delivering empowerment through the products that we sell that bring value to our customer. And then every time we deliver those products, we're thinking about the process that it takes us to deliver the products to our customers. And then we are also thinking about the people. And for us, it's about attracting the House of Tara person. Not everyone likes smiling. You know, for those, if there's any one of you who have children or you have siblings, you know that all of you are so different. There's one of your sisters that when anybody comes into the house, they always remember her. They remember her because she's charismatic, she smiles, she engages, she talks, she's warm. But there's another sister of yours that's very gentle, calculated, introspective. None is better than the other. But the question is, what is the fit for your business? So at House of Tara, we have our HOT person. We have certain temperaments that you have to have if you are a House of Tara person. And the idea behind it is to ensure that you are the right fit. So we're thinking about how we recruit, right? We think about how we recruit, but we also think about alignment. So recruitment, alignment. When we employ you, we want to ensure that you go through an induction process. Guys, induction process is not about when you work in the bank. It doesn't wait on you. Mustn't wait till you say you are working in an oil company for induction to take place. Listen, every person you employ, remember this is all about also about employing people, right? Anytime you employ somebody, they are being inducted. The question is who's inducting them? They could have been inducted by themselves because of their own perception of you and your business. They could be inducted by your gate man, the security man at the gate. This is how madam is. This is how madam is. This is what we do here. Is the gate man the person who should be inducting your new staff? My dear, my brother, my sister, we need to create the time to do induction. And our induction is a combination of what your vision is. What is your purpose as your business, of your business? Why are you in business? And the person wants to feel like there's a reason why I'm here. It's not just about earning a salary, right? And that whole process of induction, you have to invest the time in it. So there is recruitment, there is alignment, but there's also rewards and recognition. You know, when you don't pay people, no matter how fantastic your vision is, they will not stay, right? And that's why we have to run profitable businesses. We run profitable businesses so that we can also pay our staff well. So reward and recognition. When people have done well, they need to be recognized. And how do you do that? You have to have an assessment process that you put in place, how you assess whether people are doing well or not. I'm sure in our next session, when we do this again, we're going to focus more around the people at the end of it, and we'll have workshops to drive home how you can design a people-centered organization, a people-centered business. You don't have to have 100 employees to do all those things. These are important. As a child, your mother recognized you when you did well, right? That is something you did. It was not because your house was an organization. It means that if you have a small business, you can also do the same. So it's about recognition, it's about alignment, it's about reward and recruitment, sorry, I said recruitment. Who do you recruit? Who is the person that you're recruiting? Why are you recruiting them? Do they fit in? So that's people. So we started with purpose. Can I see you in the chat room? What my model for sustainability? Can we see it in the chat room? One is what? Purpose. Yes. What's the second one? Purpose. Second. Fantastic. Products, right? And our product must bring value to our customers. What's the next one? After product, what's the next one? Process, exactly. How do we deliver that product to our customers in a way that it benefits them? Fantastic. And what's the next one after process? People. I know that as entrepreneurs, we think that we are the first and the last. They lie, yo. People make organizations. Without people, you cannot achieve your vision. And lastly, profit. We've got to run profitable businesses for the long term. We've got to run profitable businesses for the long term. Why do we have to build sustainable businesses? For you as the entrepreneur, you're investing time today. You need a business that you invest time today in that will feed you tomorrow. And the only way they can feed you tomorrow is how well you take care of the business, how well you take care of the business. And taking care of the business is taking care of the money, okay? So Jovita will come and teach us more about that. And now I would like to invite in my closing session for now, I wanted you to take home that, and I'm hoping that was value adding to you. I'm hoping that you had 7 things that you have written down as things that you must start doing, things that you must stop doing, things you must continue doing. And so I'm going to invite the next speaker to take home profit and drive it a little more so that we can take tangible things away that we will go and change. Thank you very much. Let me see in the chat room if I did well. Give me some numbers. Did I do 10 over 10 or 20 over 30? Or 100 over 100, let me know. All right, thank you, Mommy. I'll be back for question and answer as well.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Mrs. Durotoye. That was amazing, transformation. I have 2 pages of notes, believe it or not. And I'm like, oh my God, I could go on and on writing. So thank you so much for taking us through the 5 Ps, purpose, product, process, people, profit. I've written down so much, and so as not to steal or to kill the momentum, I'm just going to introduce the next speaker, Jovita Madojemu, who is going to take us through cracking your profit code. So that profit, that very important profit, that word that everyone likes to hear. So she's going to take us through that, and I know she will do justice to it. So I'll just give a brief introduction of Jovita. Jovita Madojemu is a businesswoman and a chartered accountant certified with the ACCA. She's the founder of Pundit Bookkeeping Services Limited, an accounting company working with small and mid-sized business owners, who are interested in tracking their numbers, tracking their performance, and preparing their books. She started her career in 2006, working as an accounting an accounting trainee, I beg your pardon, in a mid-sized accounting and audit firm, Berkeley Roberts and Co. In 2008, she moved on to banking, and she worked in the SME space within the bank. In 2016, she launched the Pundit Bookkeeping Service, and she has worked in that space ever since. She deals with businesses that have turnovers from 10 million to 600 million. Regardless of the size, she's there to help. In March 2019, Jovita was recognized by Business Day as one of Nigeria's 50 most inspiring women. Jovita also has a postgraduate degree diploma in public relations and reputation management from London School of Public Relations, and she's an executive alumna of the prestigious Lagos Business School. Jovita has featured in interviews by Nigeria Info FM, Jordan FM, City FM, Silverbird TV, Arise News, Global Business Report, and TVC. When she's not working, she's most likely on Audible or Netflix. Products of her active imagination include her novel, which she has written herself, A Touch of Grey, which is on Amazon.com. Let's give Jovita a warm virtual welcome as I invite her to take center stage and take us through what promises to be an interactive, inspiring, and transformational workshop. Thank you very much, Jovita. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Omowunmi. Thank you so much for that glowing introduction. Good morning, everyone. Okay, it's afternoon now. Good afternoon from all over, wherever you are. London, we saw Abuja, Canada. You guys are all welcome. Thank you very much. And so in the next few minutes that I have with you, I would like us to interact on something that I know sometimes it's a bit, it could make you freeze, but hey, I'm going to do my best to make it as relatable as possible, okay? And I have titled it Cracking the Profit Code, okay? So I'm hoping that you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, just, you know, put it on the slide or rather in the chat box that you can see the screen. Yes, so if you can see the screen, just confirm that you can. Let me see. Okay. Okay, they can see the screen. Wonderful. So titled it Cracking the Profit Code, and Omowunmi has introduced me. Before I, you know, go into the outline proper, I just want to share a little story. Okay, in 2019, I got a new client, and this was how she communicated her pain point. She said, I don't know where my money is going to. That was the first thing she said. She said, I don't know where my money is going to. I need to know where my money is going to. She also said, right now, I'm at a point where I need to move into another store. Now, she wasn't moving to the other, she didn't want to move to the other store just because she felt like, but she had done some analysis and that location was going to favor her the more. Okay, and she needed about 5 million for rent and a lot more to do renovations and all of that. So what was our bid to see whether she could afford it, right? So we went, you know, did the transaction tracking for 7 months, and here's what we found. And when I was discussing with her, she was a bit crestfallen because what we revealed was that in 6 months plus, she had spent 11 million on herself. So when we looked at her total overheads, over 50% had gone to herself personally. So 11 million in 6 months. And it wasn't even going to her salary, just different things here and there, things that, well, she deserved them if you want to look at it. But the problem was now she was struggling with trying to see if she could get funds for a new place. And so I told her that, see, this money that you need for a new place, you actually have it. So what you're going to do is that you're going to starve yourself, in quotes, for the next few months so that you can gather that money, get that new place, and then we will now work out what your salary will be so that your business can breathe. Okay, now 11 million is relative. I mean, it's relative. Some other business could pay that to their CEO and the business won't feel it. Okay, so it's but you need to understand how can your business afford to sustain you and still continue to be in existence. That's very, very critical. So we will look at something I've called the business entity concept. We will look at what I've also called the survival budget irritation, transaction tracking and filing, and then we will also look at computing your gross profit and juxtaposing it with net profit and seeing where the difference lies. And then we will get to the report card of your business, which is financial statements. And of course, finally, we will let you know what you have to do after this session. So this is it, the business entity concept. All right. And quickly in the chat box, I want you to just write, my business is separate from me. You might not like what I'm saying, but I'm telling you the facts. So just write it down. My business is separate from me. My business is separate from me. That's the first thing you need to understand. Your business has a life of its own, okay? It has a life of its own, and you need to treat it with the respect that it deserves. Okay, the next thing that you need to also think about, and I've tried to coin this in, you know, introspective questions, that you need to think about them and say, okay, how does this relate to me? What am I doing? Am I on the right track? And if you're on the right track, wonderful. This is just validation that you need to just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, so do you have a dedicated bank account open for your business? And I've been interacting with SMEs for a long time, you know, even when I was in Diamond Bank and even several years later, still doing that. And I've seen a number of, you know, peculiarities. Some people do not have dedicated business accounts for their business. Okay, so do you have a dedicated business account for your business? And then if you do, if you open that business account, XYZ Limited, you know, in the name of your business, you have a bank account. Are we going to find personal transactions going through your business account? That's the fourth question. Are we going to find personal transactions going through your business account? So what do I mean? I go through your bank account and I see transfers to your hairdresser. I see transfers for Ashoebi, all in your business account. Now pause and think. Think of all the big brands that you love, your Apple, your Samsung, your Coca-Cola. The truth of the matter is, all those people, right? They pay out salaries to their MDs, and their MDs do whatever they want to do from their personal account. So we shouldn't be seeing all these transactions going through your business account. You need to make a decision today to stop it. And so that's why we'll get into the survival budget, so you can see how to even begin to think about what you need to pay yourself in your own personal account, and then do what you will with it there. All right? And then the other question that you need to ask yourself in relation to the business entity concept is, what happens when the business loans you money? Or when you even loan the business money? Because sometimes I interact with people and I hear them say, well, I've been giving the business money. So did you track it? Okay, how much have you given the business? So time to collect, you give the business 1 million. If you tracked, then you know that when you want to collect it back, you're collecting 1 million. But don't give the business 1 million and you want to collect 2 million. It means that you're not tracking, you just want to write down the value of your business. And that becomes very, very, very tricky, okay? I was interacting with some business owners, in 2018, it was physical. And the lady was saying to me, it was a physical meeting, the lady was saying to me that, oh, am I saying that she shouldn't have taken money from the business to bury her mother and all of that? And I said to her, yes, listen, it's possible that was an emergency and it happened and you hadn't planned for it, okay? But listen, if you had that same situation, even as maybe a GM in a tier 1 bank, no matter what your millions might be in your salary, if that situation happened and you had not saved, the bank isn't going to gift you the money, maybe the 2 million you need. They will give it to you as a loan, and then you begin to pay them back from your salary. So in the same way, if you took that money to bury your mother because it was very, very important, then you need to factor a way to repay the business back that money. You can't just write down the value of your business by that amount that you have taken out. It will be unfair to the business. That's money that could have been turned over in terms of revenue and then ultimately profit. So that's the first thing I want us to get today, that your business is separate from you. So treat it properly, treat it accordingly. Now, there's a quote of mine here that says, budgeting is not an indication of poverty. Budgeting is not an indication of poverty, rather an indication of responsibility. Now, sometimes when we tell people you need to work with a budget, they feel like you're trying to cramp their style. And maybe it's true, but then sometimes you just know that, hey, it's just for a period, because there are so many things good to have in life, but you don't necessarily have to have all of them today at once. You can pace yourself. All right. So the survival budget, what it is that it is a methodical process that ensures that you as a business owner, you get to think through those necessities that you must incur for yourself in a year, and for your dependents too, because hey, at a certain level in life, you have people depending on you. Now, it doesn't take account into luxuries. That might come later when the business is, big enough to accommodate all of that. You can send you on vacations. You can have that as part of your allowances. The derivation of this amount, that's the survival budget, it becomes a business cost that will be paid out as your salary. So the company can decide to pay it out to you monthly or quarterly, depending on the cash flow pattern of your business. So there might be certain periods where you have more monies coming into the business than in other months. So you can decide how to pay out the money. But what's important is that the figure has been agreed, it has been determined, and then you know that you are paying it to yourself on a periodic basis. Now, this is the interesting part. If the survival budget exceeds anything that a business can afford to pay out, then it means that you need to seek an alternate source of income to augment this. Now, this is another part that you will need to come to terms with, because it is possible that the business might not be able to pay you everything you need to survive. So what that means, that's a deciding moment where you know that, okay, you also need to probably take maybe another job, another side consultation or something, so that you can meet your other personal needs. That way you do not try to eat everything out of your business, because trust me, once you've taken everything out of your business, there will be no business to continue. And I've seen that happen several times. You know, the business is here today and gone tomorrow. And TFD tried to even give us some illustrations, you know, some businesses that are not here anymore for various reasons. But this is also a contributing factor. And we need to be mindful of this. So determining your salary, and I'm walking you through a process, it's a thought process, not anything, you know, difficult or, you know, overwhelming. Just list out your monthly, quarterly, and annual personal expenses, okay? Your own personal. Then also list out those of your dependents, because you know that you have to take care of them. Add up all these figures, divide the total sum by 12, okay? And then determine what your monthly salary will be. And as I said earlier, determine what portion the business can pay with ease. So if you come up to 300,000, can you actually take out 300,000 monthly from the business and the business won't feel it? If so, fine. But if not, if it is 100 you can take out, then it means that you need to find a way to get the other 200,000 from an alternative, you know, source of income. Now, this money that you have decided to pay out as your salary, when you are paying your staff, also know that you are transferring your own money to your personal bank account. So like I said earlier, if you haven't made your business account a dedicated one, you need to. And then everything that relates to you, pay it out to yourself as a salary into your personal bank account. Now here, we try to give you an illustration to just bring it home, okay? So I say here that Tejumola Abisoye, she owns an IT support service business. She's married with kids. She has a joint responsibility with her husband to provide for the home. She contributes, and so this here now we're trying to break down her expenses. And of course, I mean, it's not every single thing, but this is just about painting a picture. And what is important for us today is to take the principle and then adapt it to our own fine details. All right, so she contributes 40,000 monthly for feeding the home. She contributes 300,000 3 times a year for the children's school fees, 200,000 once a year on medicals, 75,000 monthly on our own personal welfare, and then 700,000 a year on house rent. So we want to now determine what was our survival budget. That is, what does she need to pay out to herself as a salary? And so in this next slide, what did we do here? We simply try to aggregate, that's add up the different figures. So first of all, we see here the monthly expenses, the 40,000 naira and the 75,000 that she spends monthly, we added it up. So that's 115,000 monthly, which comes to 1.3 million in a year when you multiply that by 12. Okay, there's another expense that she spends on 3 times a year, which is the school fees. So 300,000 multiplied by 3, we arrived at that 900,000 a year. So we have 1.38 million. We also have 900,000, which she spends in a year. Okay, additionally, annually, medicals and then the rent, the 200 and the 700,000, that came up to 900,000. So by the time we put all of it together, the 1.3, the 900 and the additional 900, it seems that she has to spend 3.1 million, you know, for herself and her dependents in a year. And then when we divide that by 12, Tejumola will need to pay herself a monthly salary of what, 265,000. That's the process. You know, it's just thinking through. And of course, you need to put pen to paper to walk yourself through this. Otherwise, what happens is that you'll be drawing money willy-nilly, 50 here, 100 here, 300 there, and then you are surprised at the end of the day that, wow, I've taken out so much, as in the case of that story I shared earlier when I started, okay? So the salary becomes your business cost, and then you now take that into account to ensure that you are being compensated and that the business can still breathe even after you compensate yourself. All right, so I will move on to transaction tracking and filing. Now, here's what you need to do, that the important first step in tracking your business profit is keeping source documents. Okay, source documents are those documents that evidence the transactions. They show that transactions have taken place. So transactions shouldn't be happening in your business with word of mouth, WhatsApp chats, and all of that. No, okay? Because the time comes when you want to see the report card of your business, and if there are no documents to put together to see that report card, which is the financial statements that we'll get to at the end, then it is impossible for you to really tell what has happened in your business. You probably just be flying blind, okay, or making guesses. that won't really help decision making. So invoices, they are issued to your customer when a service is rendered or an item is purchased. Now, I know that sometimes we use it interchangeably with receipts, but no, they are two different things. A receipt is issued to your customer when payment is received for the item that has been sold or the service that has been rendered. And even sometimes a customer could pay you in advance. So you issue him a receipt. At that point, you're collecting the money. And then by the time you render the service, you follow it up with the invoice that is an evidence that that service has been rendered in the same way, whether it's a product that has been exchanged. Okay, so, and then a payment voucher. And we will see pictorial representations of these key source documents. And there are several others, but these are primary and they cut across any kind of business. So we want to just look at them. Now, a payment voucher, what happens here is that they are used to narrate your business expenses, okay? And also they show evidence of the approvals that were received in getting those expenses incurred, all right? And then also in talking about your transaction tracking and filing, you need to understand that you must keep separate files for some businesses. And I'm not even talking about just very small businesses. Some businesses that have been around for years, you go to maybe the admin office and there are several documents stashed in a mass of jumbles in a drawer. And when people come and want to get information, is a mess, okay? Now, sometimes even regulatory authorities have to come and do what is called an audit, okay? To check whether you've been paying the right taxes and all of that. And when you don't have information to share with them, when there are no evidence of your receipts, your pay, your invoices, they have also asked for vouchers. Okay, they call that the third-party evidence of transactions happening. When you don't have all those things, then they estimate figures and give to you, and then you cry wolf that something is not right. But you see, if you had all of these documents easily retrievable, then you can justify that, no, sir, we shouldn't be paying this because this is the evidence of our transactions, and on like that. So it is important that you are able to keep your source documents, track them, track your transactions using source documents, and also file properly for easy retrieval, all right, and also for other reconciliations that could come up. Your customer could say, no, we've been dealing with you, we don't agree with the balance on our accounts. Let's do a reconciliation. If there are no documents to put together and have that exercise, then you will be going on an argument in terms of what they owe you or what you owe them and on like that. So that is avoidable, and this would help us. Very, very important. So here we see a pictorial, evidence of an invoice. So this is an invoice. And like I said, it is issued when a sale has occurred. It is not a proof of payment. So let's get that. Now the receipt, it is issued when payment is received for the sales transaction. It's also issued if a customer pays you in advance for a transaction. So are you keeping receipts? Are you keeping invoices? Are they properly filed? Very important. And here we have a sample payment voucher. So, I mean, you can see even the invoice, if you're paying a vendor, that invoice number can be referenced. If you're issuing a check for the payment, it can be referenced. And so who prepared it, who's receiving it, who approved it, and all of that detail is recorded, okay? All right, so I'm going to pause here a bit. And this is what I want to say. That I understand that sometimes we could freeze, you know, when people try to tell us, oh, gross profit, net profit. However, it's a very simple concept or simple, you know, term, all right? And it's important that you know it as a business owner. Okay, so what is gross profit and what is net profit? I like to say that your gross profit is your first level of profits, and your net profit is your final destination, or what you might also call the bottom line. The bottom line. Okay. So, what is gross profit? Gross profit is arrived at when you deduct your cost of sales from your sales. Okay, so we know sales. Sales is very popular. We all, you know, we sell things. Yes, that's very relatable. Sales, sales, sales. But cost of sales, what are we saying here? If you were purchasing a physical item for resale, then the cost of buying that item is the cost of sale. Now, for a service business, it could be that you have direct agents that are supporting you who are commission-based, not salary. So they get money on the basis of the sales that they bring to you, all right? So that becomes a direct cost. So your gross profit you will arrive at by deducting your cost of sales from your sales. So note that sales minus cost of sales is equals to gross profit. Sales minus cost of sales equals to gross profit. And I want you to note that because there's a small illustration that you will have to do in the next slide. So just note that somewhere. Okay? And then additionally, net profit. So I told you that it's the final profit, your destination. Okay, what has happened at the end of the day? How do I arrive at my net profit? I arrive at my net profit by deducting my overheads. And this is like the demon in many cases. So overheads, I have to deduct my overheads from my gross profit to be able to arrive at my net profit. And so here simply, I have explained that your overheads, also known as indirect costs, they must be incurred whether or not revenue is generated. So for instance, simple example, rent. So you have an office space or you have a store. Whether you sell or not, you will pay rent to your landlord. And of course, if you have staff that are, they're not agents on commission, you have fixed salaries to pay. So whether they are sales or not, you will pay them. So they are your overhead. And there are a lot more, overhead components that we will see when we look at your financial statements. All right. So we're saying to you that your net profit will be arrived at when you deduct your overheads from your gross profit. So remember, gross profit minus sales, but sales minus cost of sales will give you what? Your gross profit. Sales minus cost of sales will give you gross profit. And then gross profit minus overhead will give you net profit. I want you to write that somewhere in your notebook, because on the next slide, there's an illustration, and I would like to see some answers on the chat when we get there. Okay. Yes. So this is our illustration, and it's just to bring it home to you so that it's relatable. And like I said, it's about the principle. So go and adapt it into your own peculiar situation, your own final details, right? Audu Enterprises sells laptops. The cost price for each laptop is 120,000. That's the cost. However, he sells each laptop for 180,000 naira. All right. And the average number of units he sells in a month is 20 laptops. His total overheads in a month is 700,000 naira. Now we want you to determine, well, there are many things here. Let me just ask you to determine one. I will determine the rest. Okay, so can we simply determine the gross profit? And I'll take 30 seconds to look at the answers in the chat. 30 seconds, just determine the gross profit. I've told you that gross profit is what? Sales minus cost of sales. So let's find out what his gross profit is. Okay, anyone? Sales minus cost of sales. What answers do we have? Oh my God, I see some interesting people. 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bumi, Adebisi, thank you, Busayo, and the rest of you, thank you for the answer. So 60,000 naira is his gross profit. Now you see, Audu could begin to rejoice that, wow, I make 60K on each laptop. It's a lie. Okay, so I'm going to bust his bubble because that's the gross profit. Look at here, he has overhead of 700,000. So how do I now tell Audu what he makes on each laptop? It is by determining his net profit. And then when I determine that net profit, I can now divide that by the number of laptops he has sold in this month. So very simply, all right, since he makes 60K gross profit on each laptop, right, what I'm going to do is just do 60,000 naira times 20. That gives me 1.2 million. So that's his gross profit for the month. All right. So to get his net profit, I have to deduct this overhead, this 700,000 from that 1.2 million. And that will give me 500,000. So when Audu is saying, so how much now did I make on each laptop? I'll say that 500,000 net profit divided by the 20 laptops. So Audu actually made 25K on each laptop. That's his net profit and not the 60K that was the gross profit. So that's the distinction. Overhead is what separates gross profit from net profits. all right? And you must know the components of your overhead. If you are not taking note of it, then something is wrong. And so in this final case, the last question said, will he make a profit or a loss if he's incurring 1.3 million in overheads? He will make a loss, because remember that his gross profit is 1.2 million. So if his overheads are now 1.3, deduct 1.3 from 1.2, that's 100,000 naira loss. And so, my dear friends, losses are not mysterious. They are simply as a result of your expenses being higher than your revenue. So if you want to keep making profit, then you might need to find a way to either reduce your revenue, rather reduce your expenses, or increase your revenue. It depends on you. But just know that there is no mystery to it. When my total sales are higher than my total expenses, then I will make a net profit. Okay, so on that note, I will, these are the answers. And thank you all for contributing to the answers. Very wonderful, very wonderful. And so here I emphasize, never look at sales in isolation. No, never, never. Because you can see, even with the wonderful sales he was making, he could make 100,000 loss if his overheads increased to 1.3 million a month. So never look at sales in isolation. Look at all the other components. After sales, what next? Okay, cost of sales. After that, what next? Overheads. Okay, after that, what did we now make? Okay, we made some profit, doing good. Can we improve on this? That will be your question to be answered by you too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to your report card, which is the same thing, or what I have also referenced as financial statements, right? So everything you do in your business, at the end of the day, you want to see at a glance. And at a glance, you want to see at a glance, how have we fared? And so in the next two slides, we will see a pictorial representation of a business performance and their position. But before we get into that, I wanted to just make you understand that any transaction that occurs in your business will affect any of these 5 elements. So it will either affect assets, liabilities, equity, income, or expenses. Now, your asset, liability, and your equity, these 3 elements, they are found in your balance sheet, also known as statement of financial position, while your income and your expenses are found in your income statement, also known as statement of profit or loss. All right, so a few examples in each category, or let me just even quickly give you simple definitions, nothing complex. Assets, they are the things that we own as a business and we use them to generate revenue. So for instance, your plant and machinery, your furniture and fittings, your computers, your laptops, all of those things, right? You own them and you use them also to generate revenue. And of course, it could be current or non-current. So the current assets are, either cash and those other things that can easily be converted to cash within a 1-year period. For example, your stock, your inventory, or even your receivables, your debtors, you expect to clear them or rather get them as cash in the next 1 year or less. All right, so those become your current assets, while your non-current assets will be those ones, the assets that can last for a period of beyond 1 year, your generator, your tables, your chairs, and the rest of those things. Okay, liabilities, on the other hand, are the obligations your business has to others. So do I have an overdraft from the bank? That is a liability. Do I have, am I owing my suppliers? That's a liability. I haven't paid staff at the end of the month. That becomes salaries payable. So when you hear all those payable, they are liabilities. Yes, bills payable, this payable, they're all your liabilities. Meanwhile, for your equity, you're talking about your initial capital injection, which is members' equity. You're also looking at the profit your business has retained over time, okay, which is retained earnings. And then the net income for the period is also a component of equity. Income, you know what it is, what you sell, whether it's service or product. And of course, the expenses, those activities that result to money going out of the business, your internet, your rent, your salaries, and all of that. So here we see this company called KYC Enterprises, and this is their report card at the end of April 2021. Yeah, so as you can see, they made 1.2 million sales. Very wonderful, right? And The interesting thing is that if they continue at this run rate, if we multiply 1.2 times 12, that means they'll be generating 14.4 million. And thank God TFD actually used that word, generating. They will be generating 14.4 million. But look at the bottom, 13,150. Yes, it happens in real life too. It's not just in illustration. 13,150. That's the net profit they made, their bottom line, after the 1.2 million sales. Okay. And this is where the business owner now needs to begin to think. So what happened now? Oh, I see. All right. Well, cost of sales, the goods we purchase, or I mean direct costs, whether it's from commissions or whatever that we paid out, 580,000. We still had a healthy gross profit of 620,000, but somehow we ended up at 13,150. But like I said, there's no mystery to it, right? So see how it all came about. Internet subscription, transportation, 275 salaries, repairs and maintenance, fuel and diesel was 102,000, and then rent 150,000. So when I'm looking at this as a business owner, I want to find out, okay, yes, we're doing everything we can to increase our sales, but is there a way we can conserve some money? So what if, for instance, I decided to take a place where we are paying 600,000 as rent, and that comes to what, 50,000 monthly. So I would have conserved the 100,000, add it here, it becomes 113,000, which improves my position. At least it makes it like 10% of my revenue rather than the 1% it currently is right now. Okay, so it's just about you seeing yourself, seeing your report card and deciding what needs to change. All right, and I tell people that, hey, 12 months is too long a time to look at your performance. It's too long a time. Don't wait for 12 months. Look at it monthly. Find out what you need to change. So imagine that some miracle workers came to you and said that, oh, they could turn around your sales in the next 2 months. Just pay us so amount monthly. Maybe you're paying them 300K monthly. 2 of them, they've increased your overheads by another 600,000. Month 1, you want to check, okay, what has happened since they came? Are we still on this 1.2 million, or has it moved slightly? You notice that you're still on 1.2 million. Well, you wait. After all, they said 2 months. Month 2, you move to maybe 1.250. On this 600,000 that you're parting with incrementally. All right. And then you begin to have a conversation that, see, I have checked what is happening, and what you promised, you have not delivered. But if you were not checking, if you didn't have an income statement to check what's going on in your business, then you, like I said, you just be flying blind and losing money. All right, so I think I've said enough on this. I will now move to the other report card, which is your financial position. All right, now your statement of financial position really is telling you where you are as a business, your assets versus your liabilities. And the net income actually flows from your statement of profit or loss. But in looking at this, we can see our current asset. We have cash in bank, 350,000, inventory, that's your goods that you have yet to sell, 750. Or we have a tidy sum of assets that we've put in the business. And the truth of the matter is that those assets were financed by your members' equity. Remember, I explained it earlier, and the profit you had retained over time, when things were better, obviously, right? Okay, additionally, we also see that you have accounts payable, 1.4 million, right? These are vendors that you're yet to pay. You've collected things from them, or they've rendered services to you, and you are yet to pay them. Now, this tells you what the situation is. So imagine that you get an alert in your bank account, right, from your banker, and this 350,000 now increases to maybe 700,000 because you've sold some of your goods. Now you have a bank balance of 700,000. What's the next thing that comes to you? Now, I know that you deserve many wonderful things, and it would be nice to just buy a ticket and go to Dubai. But if you do that, what happens to this 1.4 million here? Do you get that? So really, you need to be able to look at what's going on in your business at a snapshot. And what would help you arrive at this, right, will be a simple accounting software. And that's something that you need to begin to think about. What accounting software does your company use? What can you do to quickly, get these reports out? Because if you wanted to just use your notebooks, and yes, notebooks is a place to start, but not in this age and time. Even all your phone contacts are digitized. You're using wonderful phones, backing contacts on the cloud. So you can make that investment to get a tool that helps either you yourself or whichever staff you want to deploy to do it, or if you want to outsource it, but ensure that it gets done so that you can see what your business is doing. And like I said, month on month, 12 months is too long a time to know that you've made a wrong decision. So when you know your decisions and what they have played out in terms of Naira and Kobo, then you can easily course correct. And so here are your next steps. Number one, when you leave here, I need you to please, for those of you who haven't done it, compute the salary that you need to draw from your business, all right? And open that bank account and make sure that money is going there month on month as you pay your staff. Also, determine all your overheads for the month of April. If you haven't done that, April just ended, right? Go back and see all your overhead components and then compute your net profit. And finally, I would like for you to decide on an accounting tool that will help you, in terms of generating all these numbers quickly and accurately, and implement them. And so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you for being a part of this. And I hope I did not bore you terribly. I hope not. Well, I could see a lot of interaction in the chat box. So thank you all very much. Omowunmi, please, you can take it away. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jovita. That was not boring at all. I wish my accounting teacher at secondary school had actually taught me accounting like this. Yeah, so thank you so much. We've taken a lot, I've taken a lot away. My business is separate from me. You must give yourself a salary from your business. You must have a survival budget, separate bank account from your business bank account, from your personal bank account. And there's so much. And I'm also glad that you also sort of gave them homework. So please, we'll need everyone to sort of, the next steps that Jovita has highlighted, if you can carry out those next steps. And we've pasted a link. A Facebook group has been set up for everyone in attendance today. And we are hoping that you will go away, complete these tasks and post your answers in that group. After this webinar, all the speakers and lecturers will all convene again and go into that group and look at what you've done. And we will send you responses, as many as we can. So please, 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 it's one thing to come here today and listen, but like we said, we want this to be a transformational webinar. So we please need you to go back, carry out those tasks, the next steps, and please paste your answers in the Facebook group that has the link that has been put in the chat room. And then we will get back to you with answers. So I know there are a lot of questions in the chat, in the Q&A section, and even in the chat room for Jovita. But what we will do, we will have Jovita's session, which we've had. We will have Charles as well come up next. And then we will take a few questions around what they have taught before we then do the final Q&A after Mrs. Durotoye has sort of tied it all together. So please bear with us. We see your questions, we're noting them down, and we will make sure we answer as many as we can. So thank you so much, everyone. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring up the next industry expert, our very own Charles Anyanwu. He currently serves as the Director, Strategies, Funding and Stakeholder Management at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Charles has over 17 years of combined experience in both the public and private sectors, supporting entrepreneurs and youths across Africa with access to finance, human capacity development, and building youth-centric corporate social responsibility programs for multinationals. At the LSETF, Charles is part of a young and dynamic team currently spearheading access to finance for residents in Lagos State with various interventions towards improving their skills, also providing them with access to market. Charles was a pioneer staff at the After School Graduate Development Center, AGDC, and the Tony Elumelu Foundation, TEP, where he was instrumental in building the framework for Nigeria's first employability program. Charles is very passionate about youth development, and in 2010, he served as a research member of the Presidential Committee on Job Creation, which was chaired by Alhaji Aliko Dangote. Charles has acquired his first degree at the University of Ibadan, and he holds an MBA from the Lagos Business School. An unapologetic fan of Arsenal FC, his other interests include cooking and photography. Please, 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 let's give Charles a very warm virtual welcome as we invite him to take the center stage for the next workshop on strategy and your business. Welcome, 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 Charlie, as I call him. Charlie, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omowunmi. I just want to say something. And, sometimes when we engage in activities, we are so caught up in, the hustle and bustle of the day. And then we need to take time to come back and bring all of this in. So it's when Omowunmi was going through the profile, I remembered all of those days doing the hustle and bustle, but not thinking about it in this, a big picture setting. And I think that's a good way for us to segue into this session today, business model canvas. When you hear that, when you hear the word canvas, it already tells you that you're about to paint a picture on it. That's what people mostly do with a canvas. So think of this as painting your business. And you always think about paintings as a thing of beauty, a thing of value. This is the mindset that I want you to have as we go through this particular session. Now, I will just very quickly share my screen with you as we speak to creating a business model for your business. Now, two things that we are going to do. I just want to define what a business model is. There are 9 building blocks, and then I'm going to share with you a template. And like the previous facilitator, we are going to do small homework. Never shy away from homework. So, business model canvas. There are 3 things I want you to write down. Create value, deliver value, and capture value. These things have already been said to you prior, and I'll just use a different language so you understand. When I say capture value, I'm talking about profit. Jovita just spoke about profit. We went through gross profit, and we also went through net profit. Capturing value is very important because you may be engaged in all sorts of activities and you say you have a business. And at the end of the day, overheads supersede your revenue. And so you're already in loss. And you wonder why your business is failing. No, it's not your people from the village. It's not them. It's just, you just need to pay attention to some of the critical components of a business that matter. So these 9 building blocks are essentially the critical, the critical stones in your business that will help you to see the full view, get a full view of your business, and be able to understand where there are challenges, understand where errors are being made, understand where successes are being made, and how you can emphasize on those successes, build on those successes, and become a sustainable business in the long term, so that 60 years, like Tara said, 70 years from now, your children will have a legacy that you would have bequeathed to them. And you'll be proud of yourself for it. They'll be proud of you also. So let's very quickly look at these 9 building blocks. The first one, I would like us to start off with, as we look at this diagram, I want you to also pay attention to the flows of the arrows and see that they are not independent, these 9 blocks. They are interrelated. And I want you to look at those flows to see what plays into what. And then you'll be able to see how important each of them are independently, but how they are working in sync to ensure that you have a sustainable business. So we look at customer segment. We look at how customer segment feeds into customer relationship. We see that channel flows into customer segment. And I'm going to take my time to explain all of these 9 blocks so that we don't have any misgivings. We also see that customer segment flows into value proposition. We see that from customer segments to channel, it talks about revenue stream. There's a very important message about this particular flow. See, when we say we have customers, somebody write it down. You don't have a customer until they pay for the service or the goods that you are offering. The person who pays is your customer. Ever wonder why you are chasing some people around and almost begging them to buy your product? And for some people, they come to you. You don't even go to them. The reason they come to you is because there's a value that they derive from your product or your service. You must be able to identify what that value is for that particular customer. Another thing you also need to do very critically is to dimension your customer base, to know who really is this customer. Like I mentioned, the customer is one who is paying, not just somebody who comes into your shop, takes a look around, after window shopping, they walk away. You're talking about the one who comes in and spends their money and then comes back and then recommends to somebody else. That is your customer. Like they will say in the local market parlance, customer dadani. Abi? So on the left-hand side, I want us to pay attention to a few things. Key activities. Just last session, Jovita took you through the income statement. And when she was talking about overhead, she broke it down. There are key components that make up overhead. So what are the key components that go into the creation and the delivery and capturing value within your business? You must be aware of each and every one of them and how it plays out in your business. And from her example, you could see immediately that rent, salaries, and fuel were playing a critical role in reducing her profit margin. So for decision making, if she hadn't done that exercise, if she didn't know what activities or what resources were going into the building up that business, she would be in trouble, and she would never know it until it may be too late. Cost structure is also very, very important. Cost structure could also be the determining factor whether or not you are able to capture value, that is, make profit in your business. So let's take each one of these 9 components one after the other. But before we leave here, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I have a true picture of my business as it relates to these 9 components that I have mentioned here today? If not, am I going to make a commitment? I want to charge you to make a commitment to go through these 9 components as it relates to your business presently and try to understand where you are within these 9 components. And I'll shed some more light so you have a crystal clear idea of what to look out for. Now, we're looking at customer segments, and customer segment can take different dimensions. Now, it could be as a result, or you can define it as a few things. One, needs. We've heard Tara talk about needs, that her customers needed to come in and learn how to become makeup artists because they wanted to be like her, to serve this market, which only her could not. Remember, each time she had to go out, there was nobody to teach. So going out to serve the bride is meeting a need. Staying back to train is also meeting a need. What is the need of your customer? Do you know? I want you to commit to finding out the specific need of your customer that you are serving and why they come to you. It could be rich. In the whole of Alaba, nobody is doing this. If I do this within this area, then people will come to me. It could be relationships. It could be profitability, very, very key. It could be willingness to pay. And I mentioned earlier that it's not everybody that comes in that is a customer, because some people do not have the willingness to pay. You have to be very, very conscious about who is willing to pay and what they are willing to pay, and ensure that you are positioned within that bracket to be able to extract value. And segmentation takes many forms. There's mass market, is your product or your service for everybody? Can everybody find something about what you do to patronize you? If we take Tara's business as a quick example, it may not necessarily be for everybody. So she may not necessarily be in the business of mass market, because I cannot see myself using makeup. I may decide to go to the training school because I would like to serve beautiful brides and make them up, etc. But I may not want to buy the product myself for you. So in that respect, I would not necessarily say, we may not necessarily say that she's serving a mass market, maybe a niche market with specific people within the total population of who can buy. There are specific people, they have specific desires. So that small portion of the overall market is then a niche market. And you have also segmented markets. And I'm using the example of Microsoft. You know, you have Microsoft Office for home, for single user. It has specific features because they have done some research. And, you know, Tara talked about engaging the customer, knowing what they want. They've done that homework and they know what these people want at home level. And they have an idea what people want in a small SME level. And they also know what large corporations want. So they have segmented their product in that way. It could also be diversified, which is that you're doing different things for different people, or different things for the same person, and they're serving different purposes. Like financial institutions tend to do this a lot, have different products for different segments, or the same product and varied across. Or something that is very recent is a multi-sided platform. Multi-sided platform, essentially, you can think of it as GG, right? So I want to sell something. I want to buy something. And you have created a platform where A comes in, B comes in, they meet. And you charge maybe a small fee for offering this service, and that's how you make money. We'll talk about that later, but just to let you know that these are the dominant forms that. So the question for you is, where am I playing? Who is my customer? What segment am I playing in? And how, what form am I, am I engaging them? So value proposition. Value proposition can mean many things to a specific set of people. Again, which is why it's very important for you to know your customer segment and what it is that they value, because that is essentially why they patronize you. And it could be a new product, the newness of your product is the brand, is the latest brand, and that's why they are coming. It could be this product performs, it does what it is supposed to do, and that's why they're coming. It could be because these people are able to customize for me. They don't just give me something generic. I want it in a specific way because this is who I am. And so you can offer that. It could be cost reduction on use. So which is, rather than pay 4 or 5 different people for 4 or 5 different things, somebody has put everything together as a bundle package and is selling it for less than what I would have paid for individually. Ask yourself this question. Who, after you have determined who is the customer and what segment and what form, what value do they derive from you? And are you meeting that value? Or are you the type that holds their hand when they go to the market and try to force them into your store? Very quick question, and you need to reflect on that. Now, we talked about channels, and if you remember from the first diagram, you notice that both customer segment, value proposition, all of them are tied to channel. Channel essentially helps you to deliver. So we talked about creating. Now, how do you deliver that value? Because you can have something that is very well done, it's excellent, but it sits in your house, and not everybody has access to your address. How are you letting people in the general public know that I have this wonderful product or service that meets this specific need for a certain kind of person? How is that person made aware of this product? How does that person take delivery of this product? Very critical questions to think through when you feel I have met this need through my product. So you have to ask questions such as, do I want to own my own store? Do I want to partner with somebody and rent store? This is a make or buy decision that you have to ask yourself. The target audience, the segment I'm serving, are they typically online? Will it be of benefit for me to have online presence or not? If you don't know, or you haven't done this analysis, you may end up with a website that nobody, or an online store that nobody is patronizing, because the core of your business is not online. So you see why it's very, very critical to do this exercise. It's a reflection exercise for you, and I will encourage all of you to do it. And just so you understand how channel works, first step is that you create an awareness. They now know that there is something called House of Tara. They will evaluate that product against what is already in the market, or another, either competing or complementary product, before they decide to make a purchase. When they decide to make that purchase, you have to ask yourself, if you are in the business of convenience as a value proposition, how are you delivering that product to them? How are you engaging them? What kind of customer relationship are you creating with them? So are you offering anything else as after sales? That is something that helps us to then segue into our next building block, which is customer relationship. How are you engaging with this customer? And in understanding, again, very, very critical that the background, the foundation is knowing who your customer really is and how they operate. That will help you. If it's an affluent customer, you know, rich people like to be treated like rich people. They want you to pamper them. So you cannot tell a rich man to go to the market and step on poto like everybody else. You want to tell him as a service offering, as a value proposition, that I will bring it to your doorstep. It will cost you X more, but I will bring it. Price is not a key decision-making factor for him. He will much rather have the product at the convenience of sitting down at home. And so when engaging people like that, you may want to think through things like having a dedicated personal assistant for somebody like that. If it is a mass market product, you may want to think of something like self-service, because if it's a mass market and you're meeting, you have to take care of multiple customers. You cannot have dedicated personal assistants for 2 million customers. You know what happened to your overheads during Jovita's class? It will skyrocket. There will be no profit at the end of the day. So very, very important. I put co-creation here because this is something very unique, and it's very true to millennials and, you know, the way things are with the advent of technology. Co-creating. I put YouTube and Ogele as examples there, where I have a platform. You see, we have gone back to this platform business again, and I'm bringing content creators to come in and put content on that platform. People who are also coming to take advantage of the what has been created and they're coming to consume are also on that platform. So this is also a different way of relating with your customers, allowing them to have an input into what is being developed. Revenue. We are back here again. This is not a repeat of Jovita's class, but we are putting everything into context for you now. When you talk about revenue streams, by understanding the value proposition and the segment and the channel, it will help you to know how will you make this money. If I have a platform, for instance, where I create an opportunity for people who can create content to come, and those who want to consume content to come, it may make no sense for me to invest in creating content myself. I've already created that platform. All I need to do is focus all my energy on marketing that platform such that it creates so much of a buzz and so many people are coming onto that platform. And my revenue stream will be purely on licensing. All I sit down and do is allow all of these people to put their content there, and a portion of all the revenues that they make, I make. And I take from that and do what I'm supposed to do, which is advertising. Imagine that I didn't think through this process and I spent all this money on trying to create content when I have no business doing that, and there are people who are happy to do that because they have economies of scale or economies of scope to do that. I would not be capturing value in true sense of it. And one of the things you have to understand is if you are in the mass market business or you are in a commodity business, what I mean by commodity business is that just about anybody can do it. There is very little uniqueness about that. You have to think about your pricing in a fixed pricing. You have to look at it from a fixed pricing perspective. Why am I saying this? There's very little room for you to push price to the customer. However, if you are in a business of high value, say I sell art, I can dictate what I want to because it's a unique product. You can't just walk into any other store and get it. So in essence, I will have some level of power over the customer. I can determine price. I can even tell them, you guys go ahead and bid for the price. And I go into auction pricing. Okay? Key resources. You are building a business. There are certain activities that will go into place. You have to be able to cost those activities. So what are the resources that I need? And again, when you're thinking through these resources, ask yourself, do I want to own? Do I want to buy? Physical resources. Do I want to own the building, buy the land, or lease the land? Intellectual. Do I want to hire the staff permanently, or do I want to, intellectual in terms of patents and all of these things? And then human. Do I want to, hire staff, or do I want to contract, which is much more beneficial for me from a cost perspective? We have to take all of these things into consideration. Again, of course, finance in business is a key resource. You can never do without it. Then the key activities around production, problem solving, or networking platform, which essentially also means some level of advertising marketing. You have to look at it from these three perspectives as well. So what do I need? What are the key activities that will take place? We talked earlier about making stew, and Tara told you you first have to pour the oil in it and then put the onions in it. So that's a step. That's a production step. You have to be able to capture it so that if you miss one of the activities, your stew will not come out good. True or false? If you forget to put Maggi when you're supposed to put Maggi, it will have an awkward taste. It's the same thing for your business. If you miss a step, you're not going to be able to deliver that value that the customer is looking for. So very, very critical that you look at it from these three perspectives. Partnerships is just as crucial because this is an area where you now need to be able to look inward to ask yourself, what are the key competencies that I have or I can make myself, as opposed to the key competencies that I must seek from an external, maybe a much more efficient, a much more cost-effective partner. Okay? I want to go into a place I've never been into before. Tara is trying to expand to Canada. She's never been to Canada before, but there's a huge demand for her product in Canada. She wants to be closer to her people in Canada. She may look at a joint venture with somebody who is already doing something very similar. And she explained that when she said L'Oreal came to them and said, oh, can you market our own product here in Nigeria? That is a joint venture. It's a strategic alliance between L'Oreal, France, and Tara, Nigeria, West Africa. Okay? You have to think about it. And one of the reasons why they do that is because they want to reduce the risk of coming in and making all that investment and not making sales. All right? Cost structure. We are going back to Jovita's class again, breaking it all down. All those activities, what do they cost? Each of them. And I want us to look at it from two perspectives. Cost-driven, especially if it's a low price, if it's a commodity, and you have to maybe use a fixed price model. So you have to understand what are the costs that go into it. So you know when your price point is too high for the market or too low, such that you are not able to capture value. Value driven. If it's a premium high-end product, again, you can get away with some of these things, okay? Because what people are buying is into the lifestyle, and people at the top of the pyramid, they would like this kind of product or services. So you are essentially targeting them. You can't take this type of value-driven product and take it to the mass market. They cannot afford it. It will be too expensive for them. And you have to look at it from a fixed cost, variable cost, economies of scale, which is doing large quantities such that you are able to save costs by doing in bulk, economies of scope such that with one particular, so if I buy Maggi today, with this same Maggi, I can make soup, I can make stew, I can do all sorts. So I will take this Maggi and do different variants of products. So that's what we call economies of scope, where you take the makeup. That same makeup is serving individual customers. The components that go into that, you can use it to make different variants, maybe even different colors, maybe different types of foundation for dark skin people, for lighter skin people. But you have to be able to ensure, especially if you're into a variety business, ask yourself, do I need to buy, are there specific components that can cut across all of these products? Look at those kinds of opportunities when you are looking at your cost structure. It will help you to save a lot of money. I need to mention that whilst you look at cost and value driven, there is an opportunity, and very few companies are able to achieve that, which is merging both cost and value. A company like Apple does that. It's what some people have referred to as blue ocean strategy. First, you are driving costs down, but at the same time, people have perceived this product as a high end, and you are able to, increase their willingness to pay. I haven't seen any Apple product that has come out, a new one that has come out cheaper than the previous one. However, the cost of producing it has been consistently cheaper for Apple over the years. These are few companies, but most sustainable and most successful companies in the market. Ask yourself, where do you want to play from a cost structure perspective, vis-a-vis the customer, the target segment that you are currently serving in the market? Now, having gone through all of these 9 components, this is essentially what the business model canvas template, this is what it looks like, putting it all together. And you remember during Tara's session, she talked about value. You see that even in this particular template, value is right there in the middle. Without value, there is no product, there is no service, there is no business. So ask yourself this question: who am I serving? And what is the value that they derive from my product and service while they keep coming back and they keep paying for this product and service? It's not by chance. It's not by chance. There is something about your product or something about your service, and it is your responsibility as the business owner to determine or to decipher what that is and ensure that the customer gets that value consistently. And that's how you build a brand. Okay? Okay. So I want us to do a small exercise. I want us to, before we go back home and do this for our own business, I want us to look at Tara's business. She gave you a little snippet as to her journey. Okay? I want us to be able to, because this is something that we need to do. I want us to say, I want us to type it out in the chat box that I am going to commit to doing this exercise when I go after this session today. I'm going to commit to doing this exercise for my business after this session today. Okay, I want to see that in the chat box. Okay, now I want us to start off this business with Tara, and I'm going to set us off on our, because I also did this exercise for Tara myself, and I will just, I want us to think through it from a customer segment perspective. What I said to myself is, I can imagine that Tara's key customer is the mobile, upwardly mobile young professional lady who maybe would like to look good every day as she goes out to work. This was my initial picture of who I feel Tara's key customer would be. And I asked myself, along this value chain, this customer may or may not know how to apply makeup, okay? If she doesn't know how to apply makeup, that means somebody must apply makeup for her because she must look good. What does that mean? That means there is a second level of customer for Tara. The person who will apply makeup for those who don't know how to apply makeup. Can you see how you think through customer segments? So that means whilst I'm serving those who can apply makeup by themselves, I also need to think about serving those who will go and apply makeup for those who cannot. So that means I must have one product line for those who will do it. It's a small product line, a small packaging, something that they can quickly use. It's not a professional box as such. And for those who will be in the business of helping people, I need to think through a different product line for them. And so I would say, and how do I make sure that many people are out there as my foot soldiers, helping those who cannot help themselves? I need to create an academy to train them. Yes? Did Tara do that? She did. So this is just customer segment alone. And that helps me to determine what is the value proposition for each of these customer segments that I have already identified. Okay, can somebody in the group tell me what channel you would like to use to reach out to the young upwardly mobile lady who would like to look good and is desirable of a good makeup kit? How would you reach them? Social media, Instagram, online, social media. Thank you very much. So we have already agreed that a large proportion of this particular segment of the market spend a lot of time online. So social media will be a great way to reach them. And it's also a cost-effective way to reach them. Okay? So that means Tara must have an Instagram account. We will ask Tara if she has an Instagram account after this session to confirm this. And she can also tell us what kind of traction she gets from the social media account. You see why this exercise makes so much sense? Can somebody else tell me what kind of partnerships Tara needs to build to ensure that she can create a sustainable business to meet the needs of these two key segments that I have already mentioned? Any kind of partnerships? Do you think could it be strategic alliance? Could it be buyer seller? Could it be joint venture? What do you think? Can we have it in the chat box? There's no wrong answer. Joint venture, why do you say joint venture? Okay. All right. Partner with local retailers, market sellers, universities. Great. So I've just been told that we've run out of time, but what I have here is strategic alliance with a foreign partner. I have buyer, supplier. I have joint venture setting up the school. This is what I have from yesterday before Tara mentioned that she went into the universities. Okay? So we see why it's critical to go through this exercise and how it helps us to demystify our business, and then we can make the right decisions at every point in time, and we can also keep abreast of the changes that occur within our market. I just want to leave you with this parting slide. I want you to take these actions forward after this session. Try to identify your key customer segments. And like I said, customers are people who are paying for your product or service, not those that you are chasing around. Discover how they consume information, what channels, what type, do they typically engage. Is it online? Is it offline? If it's online, where specifically? If it's offline, where specifically? Find out, if you currently have a business, what are the things about you? What is the key feature about your business that entices them and why they keep coming back and they are also willing to pay for it? So you can expand on that. Find out what they don't really like. So you can take that out, because there's a cost for you to offer that service. If they are not necessarily in love with that part of the business, take it out so that you can reduce your cost. Finally, I want you to determine the cost implication that will be added to these new features in the event that they want new features that you're currently not offering. These are steps that I want you to take when you design your business model canvas. I want you to think through these 4 questions as you design them, so that you will be on your way to building a sustainable business. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you for that very transformational and informative session. All I kept here was value, value, value. Value adds, very important. Create value, deliver value, capture value. So thank you so much. And please, 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 I know Charles has given you some homework as well. Kindly take time out to complete the assignments or homework that you've been given by both speakers, Jovita and Charles. It's only when you sit down to implement these into your own business, using your own business as a model, that then you begin to see where the gaps are in your business. So please take time out to complete these and send them to the Facebook group that has been set up for today's event. And all speakers will gather together to review this at a later date. And we'll get back to you with responses. So without further ado, I'm going to invite back Mrs. Durotoye to come and tie everything together, tie things together from cracking your profit code, strategy, and your business, and just bring everything home tidily. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We have the Q&A after this, so please, please, please stay with us till the end. I can assure you that this is time well spent. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mrs. Durotoye. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mommy, and thank you, Charles and Jovita, for your wonderful, wonderful presentation. Guys, many of the things that they're teaching today are things that I learned along the way. I made my own mistakes. I didn't record my expenses. I was running a non-profitable business. Even though I was generating income, I was generating millions of naira, but spending all of it, right? And looking at the end of the year, realizing that I haven't retained any of my profit because my overheads were high, because I wasn't looking at them closely. One of the things I did was I did an exercise with my team. I sat down and looked at what I've been spending. So one of the things I'd like to ask everyone to do is make sure that every expense that you have, write what it is for. Back in the days when we used to write checks, sometimes I wouldn't even fill the stocks of the checkbook. What that means is that when you cut out the check sleeve, no one knows what that check was for. So you can't really record your expenses. So please, please, please ensure that you record your expenses. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the year, you would know what you have spent the money on. That way you can start to work on managing your costs better, because you now realize that this is what I spend on. This is the same thing that we do for even our own personal budgeting, but we must also do the same for our businesses. We were talking about niche markets earlier on, and for our business, in terms of our retail business, it's a niche market because, they say it's only when you don't chop belly food, you can pay for makeup of 10,000, right? So it's really, really niche, but our business is also segmented. So we have customers who are the niche, but then we also have customers who are mass market. And mass market in terms of distributors who sell our products in the market. So that's another level of customers. But it's when you have assessed your businesses that you can now begin to be intentional about finding partners. We did a co-creation with a brand called Studio 24. Just at the end of 2020, we went into a collaboration to open locations within Studio 24. So Studio 24 is not a competitor in that sense. Studio 24 does photography, but the customers and this is the power of customer segmentation. Where are Tara's customers? Where else are they going to that I can also be in? And my customers who like makeup like to be pictured. They like to take pictures of themselves. So they're going to Studio 24. And Studio 24 had 40 locations across the country. In 1 month, House of Tara had expanded double, right? Simply because of that collaboration. And House of Tara went in with their expertise, collaborated with Studio 24, also brought value to Studio 24 by providing Tara products, and then we could share income within that location, because we have the products, they don't have the products, and we have the expertise in terms of how to sell to our customers. We've taken your time already. We didn't want to take too much more than 1 o'clock. I'm hoping that the next session that we have, you guys will come back again and learn more from it. Mommy, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for tying it all together. Thank you. Yes, I do know time is fast spent. So we're going to go, so we'll have a quick poll that we would like everyone to kindly complete. I'm launching the poll now. I'm expecting 100% response rate. So kindly, 2 minutes, please, to complete the poll. What happens is when you complete these polls, it helps us know what to do next time. It helps us know what it is you would like us to, what sort of segments, workshops you'd like us to put together for the next time. So please complete the poll. I have 0% voted. That's not good at all.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Can we complete the poll? 2%. We've got 100 and something people on this, and more, in fact, more than that.
Thank you for the first person who did.
Thank you so much.
For us. So
7%. We need this to move very quickly. 2 minutes on this poll, so we can go straight into the Q&A. I know a lot of questions are in the Q&A box, and I know that a lot of people have questions to ask. So please complete the poll. 27%.
Hey, thank you, Hawa, for finishing first. Hawa, thank you. Who else is coming on? Just help us. It's very easy. Help us.
Yeah. Help us. 40% now. Come on, everyone. If everyone does this, 2 minutes, we'll be done. We're a minute in now. 40%.
Fantastic. We're moving.
I'm going to start calling names. Shehu, have you completed the poll? Thank you so much. Yeah, when you complete these polls, you sort of give us, you give us an idea of what it is you would like to see, and we can incorporate that into the next session. Idris, have you completed the poll? Hilda, I see you. Helen, Grace, complete the polls. Thank you so much, Alabi, for submitting. Thank you very much. I see you.
Thank you, Kafayat.
Ifeamaka, have you completed the poll? Thank you so much.
Just click the questions. Someone said they don't understand. Just click the answers.
It's the answers. So there are questions there. How have you found this session? Extremely useful. XYZ. How often do you want these webinars to hold? What other breakout workshops would you like to see? How impactful has it been to your business? We've got 62%. We can do better than this. We need to get it to at least 90.
100. We can do this. 100.
Okay. Dorothy says 100. Come on, people. We can do this. Let's get this to 100%. Henry, have you completed the poll?
Where is the poll? Somebody's asking where's the poll.
It's on your screen. So if you look, I've launched it and we have people. It just pops up on your screen. Thank you so much to everyone that's completed. Dorcas, thank you for completing. I see you're done in the chat room.
Thank you, Sheung.
Thank you. So we're going to give it 1 more minute, but I really do want us to hit the 100% mark. We're at 66 and we're sort of stuck at that 66%.
Please join in. We're begging.
Yes. Join in so we know what you want. We know what to put together for the next webinar series. Please Please, please, we need your answers. We need your views. So yeah, how often do you want these webinars? 68% of people want it monthly. So we've taken that feedback on board. How impactful has this been to your business? Very impactful, 91%, fantastic feedback. Okay, I'm going to give it another 30 seconds. We seem to be stuck on 68%. How have you found this session? Extremely useful. 92% of participants or people that have completed it have said that. Thank you so much. And I think 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. We ended at 70, not 100, but I think because of time, we'll end the poll here. Thank you so much. And so we're going to go straight into the Q&A session. I know that there are loads of questions in the chat room, and I'm just going to go through as many as we can. And for those that we don't get around to answering, we will try to answer those offline. So please, we've got you all covered. Okay. So I've got a question here. This question I'm going to target at Jovita first, and then we'll go to Mrs. Durotoye as well. How can we pay ourselves? So you know you had said make sure you pay yourself a salary, make sure you budget. So that I'm going to sort of combine two questions together. How can we pay ourselves? And is there any provision for miscellaneous expenses in the survival budget? Jovita, over to you. You can just answer that in 1 minute.
Okay. Personally, I hate miscellaneous expenses. What is it exactly? Is it money you want to eat? Break it down. It has a name. Okay, it has a name. So you must be honest with yourself. To thy own self be true, Aristotle says. So break it down. Break down whatever that expense is. Whether it is buying things for yourself, just break it down, and you'll incorporate that also when you're computing that budget. So it says, how do you pay yourself a salary? It is first by deciding what is it I can live on, right? And I said also that it's relative. Your business could be very prosperous from the beginning, and you can pay yourself what your friends are earning in the bank or in the oil companies. It depends. But if you know that it's just starting out and things are not so great yet, then you must, just limit it to what must be done, like the very basic things. Yeah, and then start from there. And then as things improve in the business, just the way you would improve increase your staff salary, you also get to increase yours as well. Also a function of how the business gets to do over time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jovita. Mrs. Durotoye, I have a question here for you. How are you able to stop the counterfeit products and start being profitable again after that experience?
So the counterfeiting didn't stop. As they say, counterfeiting is a form of flattery. When your business is getting successful, then people feel that they can use your name. So it hasn't stopped. The only thing that we did was we focused on churning out new products, but also repackaging. So we did a lot of repackaging of many of our old products, and then create awareness for the new packaging, create awareness to let people know that this is what the counterfeited product looks like, and this is what the original product looks like. But I think to a large extent, it's not something that you can really fight in Nigeria. So we just moved on and focused on increasing the number of products that we're churning out regularly, new products, and that was it. In terms of being profitable, what we did was, of course, now started to invest more in the channels, the networks, the channels that we could control. Because the minute you start to sell your product in certain places, you can generate more income, but you attract counterfeiters. What that means is that you may not have control over whether they will sell original or fake, right? And so we invested more online. We started to invest more on our online platform so that we could sell through that platform, and then also invest more in our own stores, our own franchise stores. That way, you can't sell fake within our own stores, and that's what we could. That's the only thing we could do. It's more about selling faster than they can counterfeit.
Okay, thank you very much. So off the back of that, there's another question. So in a business like House of Tara that has multiple stores, how do you sort of treat, say there's a particular outlet that isn't profitable or isn't doing as well as others? Or how do you know when to cut your losses? So i.e., how do you know when to close that store? Or what can you sort of revive that store if that is the case?
Okay, so that's really speaking to the issue of profitability, because there were some stores that were not doing well, and we kept them. And by keeping them, they were eating into our profits, right? Because every day that they were opened, we were funding, other branches were funding those branches. And by doing so, we're thinning out our profit. The first thing that we did that helped our profit, I think somebody had asked that question earlier, that helped our profit to come back up again, was by simply cutting down stores that were no longer performing, poor performing stores. That's number one. Number two, we started to renegotiate with suppliers. So there were some particular products that we had been in relationship with people for many years. We went back to them and renegotiated. We negotiated some rents as well, to negotiate our rents. Because if you look at the example that Jovita had given, there was a particular example where the rent was very high, right? Salaries and rents. And so if they spent a lot of time renegotiating, and not everybody agreed, not every landlord agreed, but we actually did a negotiation. If we didn't do it, we would not have realized where we could have been saving money. So there were other things like water dispenser cup, right? Water dispenser cup was going, right? You would say it's insignificant, but truly the little drops of water really make a mighty ocean. And what was happening with the dispenser water cups, you have it in all the locations. Employees were drinking with the disposable cups, which means that we were replacing disposable cups. And guess what? Employees are in the stores more times than the customers, right? But when we turned it around and said, okay, we are providing cups, permanent cups that can be washed used by employees, and only customers use disposable cups the same way only customers use disposable razor blades. And you see that numbers came down. There were other things like this little transportation where you say everybody should go to the bank and pay money into the bank, right? How do we encourage customers to do transfers and do POS, rather than, first of all, exposing the employees to danger, because people now know that that shop, they go some carry money, go bank. And the minute they know that, then they start targeting this employee. So encouraging customers to pay by POS and reducing the transportation money that they pay in moving from that location to the bank to deposit. But the only way to know is if you have the records. If you don't keep records, you can't know. And it was by record keeping that we're able to track it. I'll give myself as an example. When they did a budget for my office, it was like, oh, this is how much I spent on. I don't want to tell anybody how much my phone bill was. I'm so ashamed. When I found out how much, actually, let me say it. My phone bill was 150,000 in a month, right? When I saw it was 150,000, I panicked, like, I don't know who I'm talking to, because I WhatsApp a lot and what have you. Guess what? Then I realized MTN started sending me nice gifts. I was getting calls from, Charles talked about it earlier on. When you don't have high profile, when you call it China customers and they start treating you. So I thought, I don't have my own account officer. That means that I must be giving MTN money, right? So I would now look closely at my WhatsApp and found that my phone bill was 150,000 naira. Guess what? The only problem was that when I traveled, I was not taking off my roaming. There's something you're supposed to switch off. So I would use up my data or use up my credits for data, something like that. It was just a switch, something I just needed to switch on or switch off. Today, my phone bill is between 25,000 to 35,000. You have to look. And so we paid attention to those things and decided what are the things that are good cost and bad costs, right? Things that we know that if we reduce it, it will not impact our customers, or we can reduce it, and pay attention to all of it, including the little drops of water.
Thank you so much. That's very, very useful information. Thank you so much. So the next question, Charles, are you still with us? The next question I'm going to target to Charles. Okay, Charles.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay, great. So when should a business diversify, and how can we leverage on economies of scope? So that's
okay. So ask yourself, let's look at it. Let's sincere apologies, my video was off. So let's look at it this way. When is it time for you to pour water in another cup when your cup is full? First question is, the current opportunity that is in front of you, have you maxed out on that opportunity? So let's not diversify for the sake of diversification. That's why these kinds of exercises, very important for you to do them regularly so that you have a better understanding of what your market is saying. This market, is it growing? So in a situation whereby maybe you have reached maturity stage and you're approaching decline stage, and you would know that from your numbers, okay? And you say, okay, it's tied, I will tie this with economies of scope, right? Because at that point in time, you now have to start asking yourself, COVID helped a lot of us to make these kinds of decisions very quickly. If, like I said, I have this training school, like Tara does, and people are no longer going into the classroom, but I have this facility, rather than shut down the facility, can I repurpose that same facility to serve a different purpose that will not require people to come in? I may decide to take a portion of that facility and turn it into a virtual studio and have only a few people come in there. And then I put the cameras and I go online, because I've already identified that my target market segment have a huge presence online. And then I now have to find a way to monetize that. It could either be that people are paying to view online, or I make it free so I can have a huge number of people coming in at the same time. And because it's a place that is attracting huge numbers, somebody else may pay me to advertise something, maybe even just as a banner at the base. And that's how I monetize. So I give it to you free, but I'm making money because somebody is paying for advertising. So the decision to diversify is not one that you just wake up and say, diversify. The numbers will tell you. The opportunities that are available will tell you. And that diversification may mean a new product line, even a new geography. Okay? And in economies of scope, like I said, it is using the same ingredients, the same assets, the same resources available to you to create a variant or a variation of different, maybe similar or not so similar. So I have the equipment to make a shoe in my, and I don't make slippers. But some people or some of my customers are coming and they say, oh, but why don't you make slippers now? We need slippers. Okay, huge number of people begin to tell me that when I engage my customers, that's the feedback that they're telling me. That means I've lost value by not making slippers anymore, because they're telling me, if you made the slippers in this brand, I would buy. So the same tools, I don't necessarily need to buy new tools that can make the shoe, can also make the slippers. I just maybe need to invest in one cutter that does something different. And that's that. And that's how I use economies of scope. But at the same time, that is the trigger that lets me know that it's time to do something different. You feel the pulse of the customer, always keep them close.
Okay, thank you so much, Charles. Thank you for that explanation. Moving on swiftly, because of time, I'm conscious of the time. Jovita, a quick question for you. How do I determine my cost of sales for a service business like consulting? So it's not particularly a product, it's not a good, but so how do they determine cost of sales?
So it goes back to definition, and I like to bring it from the point of view of overhead. Anything that I will have to spend on, whether I make sales or not, that's overhead. So is there any expense that you're incurring that is directly related to the revenue? In other words, if the revenue was not generated, then I won't incur this expense. So for instance, you need to execute a job for someone, yes, maybe an IT related job, and you have to take on a talent, right, for that project and for a short period only, right? That will become a direct cost to generating that revenue. So you need to find out what exactly is related to fulfilling this job. And it will most likely be some service that you have to outsource, all right, for the purpose of that particular transaction. Additionally, if you are doing something like maybe media production, so what would be a direct cost? It would be the cost of the cameraman that you had to hire to shoot that content that you need to send to whether it's multi-choice or whoever. So that's just putting it in perspective, and I hope you got something from that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jovita. Mrs. Durotoye, over to you again. So we have a question here that says, was there ever a time you wanted to quit? And how did you deal with that situation to overcome it? Thank you.
There are many times that I wanted to quit. And I don't know that it ever comes to an end. But one of the things that I'm a person of faith. So one of the first places I go to is to God. I go to God in prayer. I've learned to be vulnerable with God. So I'm not one that generally has to be kneeling down to pray. If I sit here right now and I feel the overwhelming feeling of, oh God, this is too much, I want to quit, I instinctively just say under my breath, Lord, I feel overwhelmed and I just need some ease. And because it's what I believe, there's a response. Many times there's a solution that comes to my mind as to what to do. Sometimes I just need to go and take a rest and take a nap, and then I come back refreshed. In other cases, I seek counsel. So the problem I have is obviously the reason why I'm feeling overwhelmed because I can't find a solution. I call my board members, I call my close friends, and I have a conversation with my husband, and then we can come up with a solution to the problem. And usually when there's a solution, the chances are that I will feel better and feel like there's hope. Other times it's that I'm just dogged and I insist that I'm going to get through the season. I listen to music, I go to the spa and hang out with my friends, but distract myself from the pressure at the time. And then subsequently I feel better about it.
Hey, thank you so much. So I hear you say, seek counsel. If you have a faith you believe in, you can consult that. I hear you say speak to friends, take time out. Sometimes you just need time out. So I hear you say all that. So fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I think we're going to take 2 questions and then we'll sort of we'll call it a day. I know time is fast spent. Or actually, what we might do, can we hear some final words from the lecturers/speakers? So we'll start with Jovita, just in 1 minute. Can you just tie it all together? Just a lasting sentence that everyone can take away today. Thank you so much. 1 minute, please, Jovita. Where time is fast spent.
Okay, so what I have to say is that discipline is important. Discipline is not a dirty word. As an entrepreneur, you will need to be disciplined. There are so many things you've learned, but it's going to take discipline to get you to implement them on a consistent basis. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Charles, 1 minute, in 1 minute, can you just sort of wrap up what, strategy and your business?
Thank you. So just to segue up, what Jovita said about discipline, it takes time to create a sustainable business that will transcend your years. So don't be discouraged. Understand that it's a process. It's a journey, not a destination. Enjoy that journey. It will come with good and bad. When it comes with bad, please do not get discouraged. Keep at it. It's a period for you to reflect and look out for tools, like some of the tools we've shared with you today, to help you to get yourself back on track. When the business doesn't do well, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you've missed some steps in that activity to making your stew. So go back, retrace your steps, and then come back bigger and better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charles. Thank you. And then Mrs. Durotoye, can you leave us with some lasting words before I wrap this all up? Thank you.
Someone asked about loyalty, employee loyalty. We'll talk about that during our seminar that's going to focus on cracking the human code. And that's one of the things I'm very passionate about. 20 years, not a joke. I'll talk about how employees went on strike at House of Tara and closed all the stores in one day, and what I did, how that impacted me as a person and impacted the business. I will share a lot of stories about some good stories and some not so great stories. But at the end of the day, House of Tara was listed one of the top 100 companies to work for. So it means that we've come a long way. And I'd like to share that as our next session. Thank you. Mommy.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tying it all together. Thank you for the attendees as well and participants. I mean, for me, I've taken so much. I've written three pages now. I mean, Mrs. Durotoye took us through the 5 Ps: purpose, product, process, people, profit. Jovita, you've highlighted my business is separate from me. Take that away. My business is separate from me. Ensure you have a business bank account and don't merge your transactions with the personal bank account. You also told us never look at sales in isolation. I mean, Charles brought home creating value, deliver value, capture value. So we've taken, I'm sure everyone has taken so much in today. The great thing about this is you can rewatch this and rewatch it and rewatch it because we have put these on our YouTube and Facebook channels. So please go back, take your time. I mean, if it felt a bit rushed today, you can, the more you watch it, the more you learn. And please share with your friends that are business owners, your family members. We need to get the MSME community, particularly in Lagos State, we need to get it thriving. Like Mrs. Durotoye had said, we need businesses that 20 years that start today and 20 years down the line, we can still point out that, oh, that business has stood the test of time, like House of Tara. So please go back and watch, relearn and unlearn. And like we said, this is the first in a series, of these sort of webinars. We hear people saying they want to know about how to deal with their people and human resources, all that sector, that space. We will bring that in the next series. So please look out for many more of these type of sessions that LSETF is hosting, most times in collaboration with other organizations, because we know we can't do it on our own. So please, please, please avail yourself of these opportunities. And with that, on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you to our key lecturer. I called you a guest speaker earlier on, and the executive secretary corrected me and said, no, she's not a key speaker. She is a lecturer. So thank you very much to our host lecturer, Mrs. Fela-Durotoye. Thank you so much, Jovita. You've made me love accounting all over again. Thank you to Charles. You brought it home with value. And without our participants and attendees, I mean, we wouldn't be here today. So I cannot say thank you enough. Thank you for joining today. Please do your homework. Like I said, we will all take time out to convene again and look at what your answers are, and where we can, we will advise people individually. So please ensure you do the homework. We're going to drop the homework in the chat room one last time, and would even send post-webinar emails to you. So I know a lot of people were saying, what is the homework? So we're going to send that out. So don't worry, we'll send everything out to you, and we'll also give you the deadline. So we want the homework within a week. Mrs. Durotoye, is that enough time, or am I being strict?
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right, great. So within a week, please, if your homework can be submitted, that would be fantastic. So thank you so much once again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good luck with running your businesses. LSETF, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, we are here for you. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. And we know that with these sort of sessions, I mean, the ecosystem, MSME ecosystem in Lagos State will only thrive and grow, and it will be enriched. So thank you once again, and have a good afternoon. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Guys, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.